Memorial Stadium in Kansas. The Sooners taking the field at 6-1, ranked number 14 in the country. And ready to take on Kansas, looking for its first win and looking for a big upset in front of this homecoming crowd. As we say, welcome inside. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, his giant spider. First college football playoffs come out next week, and we know there's going to be an emphasis, Brady, from the committee on winning your conference. I think the Big 12 saw that last year when they couldn't decide who the champion was. And it seems like Oklahoma, sitting at 3-1 in conference play, has the door open some right now.
They definitely still have an opportunity, Joe. In particular, when you look at the back end of their schedule, playing Oklahoma State, TCU, and Baylor, all who are undefeated. But if Oklahoma State can sweep those three, they'll be able to win the Big 12. And on top of that, they've really continued to pour it on lately with the running game. Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon. And when you're talking about the College Football Playoff Committee, you're talking about style points, passing that eye test. And Oklahoma has the opportunity to do that today versus Kansas, who's yet to have a win.
Yeah, and Kansas knows all about Samaje Perine, who set the NCAA record with more than 400 yards against them last season. 427 to break Melvin Gordon's record, which was set the week before. Had a nice tune-up last week with a season-high 201 against Texas Tech. Kickoff on the other side of this break.
Oklahoma putting it all together right now.
Touchdown, Shepherd.
This offense is just so powerful, so potent.
Fireworks in Fort Worth. Do you believe it?
That's the premier program right now in the Big 12 Conference. That guy is unbelievable.
How good is this final month setting up to be in the Big 12? TCU, Baylor, Oklahoma State, all unbeaten in conference play, in Oklahoma sitting at 3-1. Lurking if some of those teams trip up. Let's go down to the third member of our crew now. Here is Chris Budd.
Thanks, Joe. You talked about that record-setting performance by Samaje Perine last year against KU. The Kansas players said, hey, we don't need to watch that film again. They remember it quite well. The KU coaching staff did, though. Kansas head coach David Beatty telling me it was just a mismatch all around for his guys. But he did tell me he thinks that Perine is the second best back in the nation behind LSU's Leonard Fournette. But he told his guys this week, listen, he's a man, a good one, but he puts his pads on just like the rest of us. Know this, he's going to get his yards, but it's how they respond to it. He told his guys, do whatever you can to bring him down. We'll see if they can do that today, Joe.
All right, Chris. There's his counterpart, Bob Stoops. 17th season at Oklahoma. Big 12 titles in half of his first 16 years at the helm of the program. Oklahoma won the toss, is elected to receive. They send Alex Ross and Deron Neal back to return this kick. Matthew Wyman, junior from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, to get the 106th meeting in a series that dates back to 1903 start. It's a short kick that Ross takes from the 10 with the music still pumping. And Alex Ross pulls it across the 35. Nearly broke it, but brought down after a return of 26 yards. And this Oklahoma offense takes the field. Brady, give us what to watch for.
Well, Baker Mayfield's been nearly perfect passing this season, but head coach Bob Stoops has asked for even more through a pick last week. He'd like to see him have a clean game today versus Kansas, and really it's the running attack for Oklahoma that's come on the past 2 weeks. Mixon, Perine, you're going to see a heavy dose of that today.
Averaging 320 yards per game on the ground over those last 2 games. Wins against Kansas State and Texas Tech. Mayfield to throw. One-on-one down the sideline, and Sterling Shepard adjusted to pull it in against Brandon Stewart. 43 yards and a heck of a start for Oklahoma.
Sterling Shepard's the leading wide receiver for Oklahoma. Did a nice job of elevating to come up and make the catch for the big play. We'll see one-on-one coverage on the outside all day from Kansas.
Perine's first carry goes for no gain. Tevin Shaw with the tackle as we go back to that 42-yarder to start the game.
What's one-on-one coverage outside? Defensive coordinator Clint Bowen for Kansas talked about not wanting to allow Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon to get going in the running game. He wants Baker Mayfield to beat him with his arm.
Mayfield, one of the nation's most efficient passers. Good feel in the pocket. And then pulled down at the line of scrimmage by Marquise Roberts. This is one spot that Kansas has had some success with over the last couple of weeks. That is pressuring the quarterback.
Yeah, in particular, defensive end Ben Goodman, defensive tackle Daniel Wise, number 96. They help get pressure on the quarterbacks and funnel them to Roberts.
Kansas is forced an early third down for Oklahoma. Hard count got movement, and the flag flies. Probably a free play. And Mayfield crossing the field, slipping out of Roberts' tackle and getting 5.
I think it's going to end up being a hold on number 54, Neela Casatati, the right guard.
Tackle made by number 29, Joe Dean. Number 46, Lawrence Armstrong. There's a flag on the play.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offside. Defense number 46. Holding. Offense number 54. Those penalties offset. Replay third down.
We welcome those of you joining us around the country on Fox Sports 1. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Chris Budden, Mike Pereira, our rules expert back in Los Angeles. 42-yard pass play from Baker Mayfield to Sterling Shepard in the game's first play. But since then, no gain. Third down and 10 for Oklahoma. Jayhawks bringing pressure. Mayfield trying to beat it. Has a completion, but shy of the first down. That's the Big 12's leading tackler as far as solo tackles and Fish Smithson.
Look at all the bodies up around the line of scrimmage. This is an all-out blitz. Zero coverage on the back end, meaning it's man-to-man, no safety help. Clint Bowen, the defensive coordinator for Kansas, talked about wanting to put more pressure on his defense to be able to make plays and not being able to protect anyone, in particular some of the young talented players Kansas has been forced to play this season.
Austin Seibert, one of the best kickers in the country so far during his freshman season from 31. Off of the upright and no good. I was about to say moral victory for Kansas, just allowing a field goal, but instead a goose egg on Oklahoma's first possession.
A big stop for the Kansas defense. Oklahoma's really gotten off to a fast start the past couple weeks, scoring on their opening drives and putting up a ton of points in the first quarter. This is huge for the Kansas Jayhawks here in homecoming.
So that 42-yard completion to start it for Oklahoma, taking advantage of one-on-one coverage. And then Kansas's defense stands tall. And it gets the ball to the Kansas offense for the first time today. Jayhawks begin from their own 20. And start off with a downhill run for DeAndre Mann. And he gets only one. Charles Tapper in there to make the tackle. The senior from Miami. This Kansas offense, second worst among Power 5 teams this season, averaging just 18 points per game. Ryan Willis, the true freshman, is the third quarterback that they've played this year because of injuries. And here in his fourth start of the season, hands it off on back-to-back plays to start their day. And Dominique Alexander, Oklahoma's leading tackler, makes it third down and 7.
Kansas clearly trying to get the running game going early, trying to take off some of the pressure of true freshman quarterback Ryan Willis at quarterback, try to stay within third and manageable. You go back to the Kansas last game versus Oklahoma State, they were in 3rd and 7+ the entire game. Tough to convert from.
Facing this Oklahoma defense, it's been really good this month. Trey Parmalee's got it, but it looks like just short of the first down. They spot him right at the 30, and in fact give him enough. Big third down conversion for the Jayhawks.
Trey Parmalee is the leading wide receiver for Kansas this year. One of the seniors that's been through so much adversity throughout the course of his career.
Draw play. Man couldn't get going. Dominique Alexander got there first. Matthew Romar finished him off. Second down. I mentioned this Oklahoma defense really getting it going in this month of October. Overall, number 2 in the Big 12 in most categories. Despite that Texas loss where the Longhorns ran all over them, the numbers in October really impressive. Willis starts his day 2 for 2, finding Tyler Patrick
for a pickup of 6, making it a manageable 3rd and 4.
And this is the scenario that Kansas would like to stay in the majority of the day. Take what the defense gives you. Take the easy completions on the outside. That's something that freshman quarterback Ryan Willis can't handle.
Converted 3rd down once on this drive. On 3rd down and 4. Willis going one-on-one down the sideline and had a man but overshot him. It was the true freshman Steven Sims running by Jordan Thomas, and it's 4th down.
You see Jordan Thomas up at the line of scrimmage challenging Steven Sims, who had a nice catch for a touchdown last week versus Oklahoma State, but Ryan Willis put too much on that football. Coaching staff would like to see him give his wide receivers more opportunities, but it's playing that fine line of not turning over the football either.
Special teams have been a big issue for Kansas so far this year. Snap was a good one. Good punt from Matthew Wyman. Driving Sterling Shepard back. And a return of just 2. Coverage team solid on the first punt of the day for Kansas. And Oklahoma's offense back to the field with Samaje Perine, who set an NCAA record with 427 on the ground against the Jayhawks last year. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. This guy's stealing the show on Halloween. Believe he's a Kansas band member. No score, 10-14 left first quarter. And Oklahoma's out there for its 2nd possession. One of the top offenses in the country, averaging more than 40 points per game, and facing a defense, Brady, that if the season were to end today, they'd be giving up more yards per game than any team in college football history. They went deep on the first play of the first possession. And Mayfield hits the seam and gets a first down across the 30.
We talked about Samaje Perine. We talked about Joe Mixon. Baker Mayfield is the other element of the Oklahoma Sooners rushing attack, and he's the hardest one to account for in the running game.
Run for close to 200 yards total on the season. Fakes to Perine off his back foot, down the chute, wide open man. It's Joe Mixon. And the freshman is in for a touchdown from 69 yards. It's not just Perine, a 2-headed monster in that OU backfield.
Fantastic play design by offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley. Watch Joe Mixon act like he's lead blocking, but he's going to release through the line of scrimmage. We talked about Samaje Perine's record-setting performance last year versus Kansas. Everyone's focused on Perine, and there's Mixon running down the middle of the seam with no one on him.
His 4th receiving touchdown of the season, and Oklahoma has the game's first score. It's a long one for the redshirt freshman from Oakley, California, who's getting more and more consistent, shaking off some of that rust after missing last season. Number 14 by a touchdown.
Well, let's take a look at that last touchdown. Kansas is in what's called a cover 4, meaning a 4-deep zone. Fish Smithson, the free safety, he's going to look down at the #1 wide receiver, Jeffrey Mead, but he really should be responsible for Joe Mixon. As he releases down the middle of the field, there's no one there for him. Fish Smithson could have been that man to actually come over and cover him as he released down the middle of the field.
And Joe Mixon now has 2 of the 3 longest receptions of the season for Oklahoma. Officially 68 yards there. Ryan Shadler back to return this kick from Nick Hodgson. Still got those long locks, Hodgson. Good look. And Shadler will take a knee. Kansas will start at the 25-yard line. Brady, give us what we're watching for when they've got the ball today.
Well, we've seen Ryan Willis, the true freshman, and he's really had a tough task jumping against some of the nation's top defenses in the Big 12. But part of this passing game that he's going to be involved with is going to be steered towards Trey Parmalee, a senior. He's the most solid all-around wide receiver option that Kansas has.
Breakout season for him. He's already got a catch today. Coming off a career best game in that loss against Oklahoma State last week, 58-10. It was the 33rd consecutive road loss for Kansas. Sun coming out on their homecoming day. And DeAndre Mann with a short first down gain. Dominique Alexander the tackle. Second down.
Gain of 2 on the play. Second and 18 to 27.
Man again. Able to finish forward. Frank Shannon, who made his first start in a couple of years last week with Jordan Evans out, makes the tackle there. Third down and again manageable for Kansas.
Yeah, this is the position you'd like to see them stay into. It still means they'll have a balanced attack, running or throwing the football on 3rd and short.
Check with the sideline for the call for the true freshman from Overland Park, Kansas, Ryan Willis. Looking short side, taking his eyes down and going down. Gets sacked by Charles Tapper, senior out of Baltimore, with his first of the season. 4th down.
Well, Tapper's got to be licking his chops because he's going against a true freshman in Clyde McCauley at the left tackle position. Ryan Willis has done a good job of stepping up in the pocket in recent weeks, improving from his first start earlier this season, but right there, nowhere to go. Tapper waiting for Willis.
Second punt on as many possessions for Kansas. This one not nearly as good for Matthew Wyman, and Oklahoma will have decent field position. Up 7-0, trying to ruin Kansas's homecoming. Those Jayhawks all around town in Lawrence. Hidden gem. Happy Halloween. Don't take your mask off. Okay.
No, that's...
There's a none. I hear Gumby has been spotted somewhere.
I think we saw Gumby last night, actually.
Oh, that was right in the middle of our production meeting. A little bit terrifying. Baker Mayfield and his offense back out there. They've had really good success on first down so far. 124 yards on 3 first down plays. That one too tall for Samaje Perine at 2nd down.
Yeah, coming into the game, they're actually pretty productive on first down, averaging 7.75 yards per first down play. You talked about the production so far today. It's really what's allowed Oklahoma to continue to put a bunch of points on the scoreboard this season.
They've got an injured player. You saw that number that Brady just gave his top 5 in the country on first down. That is Jonathan Alvarez, starting left guard. Lincoln Riley, offensive coordinator, said the game has really started to slow down for him as he's worked into his sophomore year. And an offensive line that was a question mark entering the season, had to replace 3 starters, and these young guys have gotten better and better as the year's gone on, been able to gel and get some more consistency.
Yeah, you go back to last season, they only gave up 9 sacks in 2014. This year, 20 already on the season. So clearly you see the effects of some of the shuffling that's been going around up front for Oklahoma. Never good to see a guy down like Jonathan Alvarez, but Derek Farniok, his replacement, who would be coming into the left guard position, he's got some experience this season.
He's made a couple of starts early on. Let's take a look here.
It's hard to tell, but he's right there behind big number 78 Orlando Brown. And he's working against number 46 Dorrance Armstrong, a very talented true freshman defensive ends here at Kansas.
One of those plays you see so often where offensive linemen or even defensive linemen just get rolled up on. Alvarez leaves the game, and there is, like you said, Derek Farniok checking in for a 2nd down and 10 play for Oklahoma. But its 3rd drive of the game, missed field goal on its first drive, 68-yard touchdown to Joe Mixon on their 2nd drive. Perine had the NCAA record with 427 yards against Kansas last year. They bottle him up for 1 here and make it 3rd and 9.
Yeah, and credit number 29, Joe Dineen, who's kind of come in and led the way at the linebacker position for Kansas this season. A tremendous athlete, battling through a couple of broken bones in each thumb.
Yeah.
He's been taping him up, trying to get through it, but he really can't grip much.
On 3rd down, they bring heat. Mayfield gets rid of it and finds Mark Andrews on time and on target for 15 and an Oklahoma 1st down.
You see Kansas starting to dial up the pressure on Baker Mayfield. They're going to bring both inside linebackers. Mayfield quickly gets the ball out of his hands to Mark Andrews, their big tight end prospect. He's got great hands, good athleticism.
Fake to Perine outside Micaiah Quick, who they'd like to get going. Quiet start to the season for him. Short gain. Tevin Shaw with the tackle. 2nd down. Baker Mayfield, former Texas Tech walk-on. One freshman of the year at Texas Tech, then came here to Oklahoma, ran the scout team last year. Right place, right time with him coming to run Lincoln Riley's system. And Riley's 1st year as the O coordinator. On 2nd down, big hole for Perine. And Samaje Perine gallops his way inside the 15. Smithson with a tackle after 36 yards.
Great play design by offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley for Oklahoma. They motioned Joe Mixon out of the backfield. That took a linebacker out with them. They had one less guy in to stop the run, and you see the effect with Perine.
Perine again, this time gets shut down. Daniel Wise. Ball came out, but they blew it dead. Daniel Wise with a stop. He's a guy on this defense that has struggled that you've liked.
I've liked because he uses good leverage.
2nd down.
He uses good leverage. He's able to find ways of penetrating and getting to the ball carrier, in particular in the run game. A redshirt freshman out of Louisville, Texas. He's one of these young budding players here at Kansas that you need to look for in the future.
Had a career high 6 tackles. A 3rd consecutive game with a sack in Stillwater last week. 2nd down and goal after a loss of 1. They fake it to Ross, zipped into the end zone for a Duron Neal touchdown.
Well, this is really all Baker Mayfield, his accuracy and his timing, fitting this ball in to Duron Neal. Number 30, Tevin Shaw, was underneath, and really it was the speed of Neal beating him out of the cut and able to get to the football before Shaw could recover.
Seibert adds the extra point. Oklahoma has scored on 20 of its last 30 possessions. Samaje Perine has gotten it going the last couple of weeks and got this drive going with a long run, 36 yards, setting up the Duron Neal touchdown. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. 14-0 Oklahoma. Take a look at the Nissan Heisman Watch. Just a little more than a month until we find out who wins it.
Yeah, to me, Trevon Boykin has to be the clear-cut leader. This past week versus West Virginia, 3 touchdown passes, 388 yards, 84 rushing yards, 1 TD. I mean, an outstanding performance. And Deshaun Watson today versus NC State, 2 for 2 with a touchdown, and he's already rushed for another touchdown, having a huge effect so far versus NC State, although it could be a tough matchup for Clemson to come away with the win.
Yeah. Be a tough place to go play. We saw top-ranked Florida State lose there a few years ago. Here's a bouncing ball. It's picked up and brought back to the 28-yard line. Well, tonight on Fox, plenty of folks around here, you know, will be hustling to their TVs to watch this one. Last night, Mets got their first win of the series. Pivotal Game 4 tonight. Game 4 winner has won 10 of the last 11 World Series. 7 Eastern tonight on Fox. Royals and Mets from New York. Look at that. That is sweet. This would be an old Kansas City Monarchs uniform. Everybody's decked out in Royals gear around here. I felt like I was in the minority on my flight yesterday morning, not having Royals stuff on. Window closed up on Willis. Downfield he goes, and it's dropped. Shaquem Barbell, the intended receiver, and Diamond applied the pressure. 2nd down.
Last week, Ryan Willis was able to do that almost exact same scramble to get outside the pocket and find a receiver. Downfield was Trey Parmalee. This week, Barbell can't come down with it, but look at the passing yards per game for the true freshman. It's going to be a change of offensive scheme with the absence of Montel Cozart at quarterback.
Fakes the run, looks to throw. Outside to Parmalee. Gets free with a stiff arm, and then Stephen Parker, a brick house from that safety spot, drops him down. 3rd down.
Yeah, Parker used to be the nickel back for Oklahoma, although with Hartari Bird not playing quite as well as they'd like at the free safety position, they moved back Stephen Parker to safety, and William Johnson has stepped up, number 12, and done a tremendous job at the nickel back position.
On 3rd down, Willis under pressure, keeping his eyes downfield. And in and out of the hands of Jeremiah Booker. Right now, the freshman Willis not getting much help. 3 drives and 3 punts. Striker with the pressure. 4th down. This pass defense for Oklahoma so much improved. Last year, 117th in the country. One of the lasting images for Oklahoma fans from that 8-5 season last year was Baylor going up and down the field against them. Back when they were still a top 15 team. They've totally turned it around this year.
Yeah, and it helps too when you have a rusher like Eric Striker coming off the edge, putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
Matthew Wyman hits a tight spiral. And it sails out of bounds near the 30-yard line. Time now for a Lowe's game break. We say hello to Jenny Taft.
Hey, Joe, thanks. Some history in Annapolis, South Florida visiting Navy. And quarterback Keenan Reynolds here scoring his 2nd of the day, his 77th career rushing touchdown, which ties him with Wisconsin's Monty Ball for the all-time FBS rushing touchdown record. Final score, Navy wins 29-17.
Personal foul, face mask, number 59 of the kicking team. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. 1st down.
All right, Jenny, and you see the call there from Brad Van Vark, head official of this Big 12 crew, but add 15 to the end of that punt with a face mask on Kansas.
Talking to head coach Beatty for Kansas, he really talked about wanting to try to play a perfect game, and especially when you're going up against an opponent like Oklahoma, where you're a little bit outmatched with talent. Watch the end of the play. You can see Rosser clearly grab the face mask. And
right in
not
front
smart,
of the
right in front of the official.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, you know, when you're outmanned as they are against a team like Oklahoma, got to win special teams, can't have penalties. Sterling Shepard has the reception, his 2nd of the day, and 13 yards in Oklahoma 1st down.
And you have to play a near perfect game. You can't have penalties, can't have turnovers. It doesn't matter what phase of the game it's in. You've got to play your best game when you've got a team like Oklahoma coming to town.
They've been pretty good in the penalty department before last week. They were penalized 10 times for more than 100 yards up at Oklahoma State. Get it outside quickly. And Joe Deneen flies out to make the tackle on Deron Neal after a short gain. 2nd down. You talked about Deneen and those 2 thumb injuries. You saw him yesterday trying to power clean.
We saw him in the weight room. He couldn't grip a thing, but he was still throwing the barbell around the weight room. So he's been a very impressive young man. And one thing he did there that's going to be key the rest of this game is tackling in space.
That's been a big issue for Kansas. About half of Oklahoma State's yards came after missed tackles last week. Mayfield scans the field and zips a bullet for a 1st down. Sterling Shepard again for a pickup of 14.
And this has been the progression of quarterback Baker Mayfield, working his eyes through his progression across the field and finding his number 3 read in Sterling Shepard.
4th catch, 75 yards for the senior from Oklahoma City. And they go to the Wildcat here and snap it to Mixon. Cuts his way to the 25. Deneen another tackle. 2nd down and 7.
Mixon is just so versatile. He's great catching the ball out of the backfield. We already saw that today. He can take the direct snap and run the football. Tremendous change of direction. Picks up the blitz well in pass protection. Just an all-around running back.
Mayfield back in there on second down. And they get the edge. Mixon inside the 10, running through a defender. Perine with a key block on a gain of 17.
And what about the unselfishness by Samaje Perine? Watch him come out and set a block to help get the edge for Joe Mixon. You don't need to full back. They'll both be in there at the same time and share responsibilities.
Boy, does that present some issues or what? Both of them in there again here on first down and goal. Mixon again inside the 5.
They came back with the same exact play, and that becomes key when you can then slip one of those running backs outside into the passing game like we saw on Joe Mixon's touchdown, where he was the supposed lead blocker and then slipped into the secondary.
Already 244 yards in this first quarter for Oklahoma, averaging more than a dozen yards per play. Mayfield in zone, leaping grab, Sterling Shepard, touchdown Oklahoma.
Well, Sterling Shepard is 6th all-time at OU in TD receptions, and this is just a demonstration of Sterling Shepard's athletic ability. They spread out the Kansas defense. They find the matchup they like on number 30, Tevin Shaw, and Mayfield does a nice job of putting the ball up with a little bit of air and touch, and Sterling Shepard does the rest.
His 5th catch of the day for 79 yards, and now that touchdown. And the folks that have made the trip from Norman, happy with what they're seeing so far. Extra point is good, and Oklahoma, after a missed field goal on its first possession, touchdowns on 3 consecutive drives. This one from the senior, and number 14 playing like it so far today against Kansas. Sterling Shepard with the touchdown catch. Oklahoma's in front of Kansas 21-0. We go down to Chris Button.
People that mean more to Coach Stoops in his program than Sterling Shepard. He's been around the program since he was 6. That's when his father, Derek, who was a former wide receiver and grad assistant at KU, started coming around the program. Stoops would bring him into the locker room around the practices until the NCAA said no. They didn't realize at that point that they'd one day want to recruit Sterling Shepard, and since then he's been around this program. And talking to Stoops about his senior year, he said, it's not just me that he means so much to. Go talk to my secretary, the equipment guys. He's been around this program for forever.
Of course, wears that number 3 in honor of his father, Derek, who passed away from a heart attack when Sterling was just 6 years old. Yeah, one of the leaders of this Oklahoma team that is off to this 21-0 start. We welcome you inside. Joe Davis with Brady Quinn. Oklahoma the last couple weeks has been really impressive. That blowout win against Kansas State and then beating Texas Tech last week, and equally impressive so far today.
Yeah, and equally impressive because of the balance that they have on their offensive side of the football. Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon, and they're tough to handle. You combine that with Sterling Shepard on the outside, and all of a sudden you've got a real problem trying to defend this team.
Kansas trying to get it going offensively now. Fake the man outside, another ball that had a chance to be caught. It was jarred loose by Dakota Austin, making the start for the injured Zach Sanchez.
It's 2 drops so far for Jeremiah Booker. It's a true freshman quarterback. You need to get all the help you can get. You can't afford to have these sorts of drop balls versus the number 14 team in the country.
DeAndre Mann does a nice job to find some daylight. P.L. Lindley rides him down to the ground after 5, maybe 6. 3rd down and 4. And they've had several relatively manageable 3rd downs.
Yeah, it's been the drops that I think have hurt them the most. One sack in particular. You got to credit Oklahoma with their coverage downfield, but this wide receiver's got to start making some plays for Ryan Willis.
On 3rd down and 4. Scrambles out of the pocket, which was solid, and then throws it away, and it's 4th down.
well, nowhere to go with the football. Credit the Oklahoma defense in covering everyone downfield. Never necessarily a big fan of a boot into the short side of the field like we saw in that last play. But again, opportunities that are a bit being missed by some of the younger players for Kansas, and we've seen that. They've got a ton of young players. They only had 40 guys on scholarship at the end of last season, 64 this season. I mean, that's 21 less than most teams that have 85 full scholarships on their roster.
Wyman's been busy. Shepard calls for a fair catch, fumbles it, and Kansas, it appears, has it. And they do. Oklahoma's had a turnover in all but one game this season, and Shepard, normally so reliable, coughs it up. Kansas takes over inside the 30.
Well, punter Matthew Wyman's got a big leg. There's a lot of hang time on that football. And you see Sterling Shepard waiting for a while underneath it. And sometimes, as a punt returner, you get a little bit impatient. And that wind, the way it's pushing towards that side of the field, it actually then kicks the ball away from the punt returners. We saw some of the returners dealing with that in warmups, having a bit of an issue, having to come up and try to catch the football. Sterling Shepard tried to squat down and get it. Unfortunately, couldn't handle the football.
Colin Spencer recovered it. Kansas trying to take advantage. First down from the 29. Empty set for Ryan Willis. Against a four-man rush, has it knocked down. Charles Walker's having a really solid season. The defensive tackle spot batted it away.
Yeah, the Oklahoma defense rotates in a lot of bodies up front. Charles Walker's one of those guys, as well as Marquise Overton, true freshman, number 9. Yeah, you'll see him in there as well.
One of the things we're learning about this Oklahoma defense is they're dealing with some injuries, is what kind of depth they've got. It's been impressive this last couple weeks. Looking to throw into the pressure. Into the vacated area he goes for Trey, or make that Steven Sims. Close to a first down.
Well, this takes a lot of poise. Watch the pressure coming off the edge from Oklahoma. Ryan Willis sees it's coming, hangs in there, takes the hit, and delivers an accurate enough football to allow Sims to convert or get close to a first down.
And again, they're in third down and relatively short, 3rd and 1. Straight ahead, DeAndre Mann has a first down. Kansas with a bit of momentum, getting the takeaway on special teams with his first quarter winding to a close.
It's good to see number 23, DeAndre Mann, back into the game. A senior out of Miami, Florida. He's been a little bit hampered by an ankle injury, but he helps provide a bit of a boost to the running game for Kansas.
Guy that started this season 3rd on the depth chart. Staff's really been pleased with the way he's run lately. Off of the edge, pressure comes, trying to beat it with a throw to the end zone for Booker, but out of bounds. Pressure from Stephen Parker, coverage from Dakota Austin, and 1 second left on that first quarter clock.
Well, offensive coordinator Rob Likens for Kansas dials up a double move. Watch Jeremiah Booker run a little out and up. The biggest key here is saving more room for his quarterback and not getting so close to the sidelines. Booker unfortunately drifted to the outside, and Austin Dakota was able to kind of be there for the tight coverage, but not allow the reception for a touchdown.
Final play of this first quarter. And Mann can't get away from Dominique Alexander, who held on for the rest of those cream uniforms to rally and bring this first quarter to a close. It is 21-0 Oklahoma. Kansas with the ball inside the 20. Looking at a 3rd down, trying to get on the board when you come back. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. Back in Lawrence, homecoming Saturday. The first quarter dominated by Oklahoma. They've got a 21-0 lead in the total yards, 248 to 41.
Well, this presents a big opportunity for Kansas here. And you got to wonder, it's really early in the game, being the beginning of the second quarter, but is this 4-down territory? Or do you try to come away with points here? It's not necessarily a gimme considering the issues Kansas have had kicking the football.
Trying to take advantage of the fumbled punt return by Sterling Shepard. Willis out of a nice pocket, throwing dangerously. DB took a chance. Tyler Patrick made him pay with his first career touchdown. It was Austin that gambled and came up empty.
Well, Dakota Austin takes a gamble and loses. Patrick's going to run what's called a little return route. Austin takes a gamble, tries to undercut the route. Willis throws the ball just high enough for Tyler Patrick to be able to make the catch and take it in the end zone for the score.
An extra point from Nick Bartolota is good. Kansas able to take advantage of the special teams miscue from Oklahoma. And on third down, Ryan Willis finds Tyler Patrick for the score.
Tyler Patrick, a redshirt freshman. Ryan Willis, a true freshman. We're starting to see a common denominator here. A lot of true freshmen stepping up, in particular on the outside of wide receiver for Kansas. Patrick had a drop last week, didn't even have a catch in the game, but comes up big here to provide a bit of a spark here at homecoming in Lawrence.
This is one of the least experienced teams in the country trying to snap some bad streaks. They've lost 10 in a row to Oklahoma. You've got to go back to '97 to find their last win against the Sooners. 21 straight against ranked opponents, beat Georgia Tech back in 2010, and overall they've dropped 10 in a row going back to the Iowa State game last November. But again, the future bright here at Kansas with David Beatty in his first season, the 5th head coach in the last 7 years at Kansas. It's going to be hard to get anything going when you've got that type of instability.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of youth. You got to take some time to make sure this coach has an opportunity to really install his system, his culture, and watch and allow these kids to grow in it and see what they're capable of accomplishing.
Wyman's kick boosted by the wind out of the back of the end zone. Oklahoma will begin to the 25 Monday on FS1. Colin welcomes a special guest, Donald Trump, to the herd. The most controversial man in politics meets the most fearless voice in sports talk. The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Monday at noon Eastern on FS1. And if you miss it live, we'll have the Trump interview Monday night, 8 Eastern.
Well, that should be interesting.
Must see with Colin and Trump. Joe Mixon and this offense back out there. Mixon almost doubling up Kansas himself. Had a 68-yard touchdown reception to begin Oklahoma's scoring today. From the 25-yard line, a first down throw to Ron Neal, cutting it against the grain. And Neal into the teeth of that defense finds Joe Dineen. And a gain of 4, 2nd and 6.
Well, Baker Mayfield's been a pretty prolific passer no matter where he's been. You go back to 2013, he was quarterback at Texas Tech. He was the Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year. Now here at Oklahoma, somewhat of a Heisman candidate.
Flushed. Got rid of it. Incomplete. Wanted Neal. 3rd down coming up. You saw the numbers a moment ago on Mayfield. More yards through his first 15 games than any quarterback in Big 12 history.
And what makes him so capable is his ability to get outside the pocket, escape, and create with his legs. Wasn't able to get a completion there, but he's been very, very effective this season. The Kansas defense would like to try to keep him more bottled up in the pocket and not allow him to get outside.
How about this opportunity for the Jayhawks? 3rd down and 6 for Oklahoma. They bring 5. He double clutches and finds Shepard for a first down. Sterling Shepard already with his 6th reception of the day, beating Fish Smithson on that crossing route.
And that's the matchup you'd like to take. A free safety and Fish Smithson on Sterling Shepard one-on-one. Sterling Shepard's going to win that 10 times out of 10.
First down from the 36. Fake to Mixon, looking one-on-one, under pressure and sack. That is Dorrance Armstrong, the true freshman out of Houston, who's got a great future.
Well, they're extremely excited about his ability not only to rush the passer, but really his effort in the run game. Right here, this is all speed off the edge, finding a way to work his way around big Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown's 6'8", 342 pounds. It takes you 4 seconds just to walk around the guy. He's so big.
Armstrong's put on some size since he arrived this summer. The staff fired up about him. Mayfield, beautiful pull read. Spins his way for close to a first down. You know, he said he developed some of that ability to get away while he was running the scout team last year for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and this is that element of the Oklahoma offense that's so difficult to defend. We talk to defensive coordinators, and they're so consumed with trying to stop Samaje Perine or Joe Mixon. And then all of a sudden you add Baker Mayfield into the mix. He's been very effective this season on those pull reads and their zone read options and getting first downs.
Another third down for Oklahoma. They've converted one on this drive already. Mixon steps outside, and Joe Dineen pulls him down, but not before he gets a first down. And Oklahoma has converted a pair of third downs on this possession.
And number 9, Fish Smithson, came down from the safety position. He's the leading tackler for Kansas. Now, he's very active in making plays in the running game, but usually you don't want your safety to be the leading tackler on any team.
One of the team captains here in his second season at Kansas. JUCO transfer. Corner blitz shown from the far side, and they bring it. Mayfield trying to beat it. Wide open Shepard. Another Oklahoma first down. And a monster first half for Sterling Shepard. Over 100 yards on his 7th reception.
Well, the Oklahoma offense is finding a lot of holes in the Kansas back end. And in particular, Sterling Shepard's been the guy on the receiving end, but even D.D. Westbrook was open on the last play.
Mayfield feeling the pressure. Spins out of it. And steps out of bounds. Boy, I feel like we see this a couple times a week where guys just refuse to throw the ball away.
Yeah, that's one thing talking to offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley. They'd like to see Baker Mayfield do is get rid of the football. Now, it's hard, though, because he's so explosive. You see him throw down Chevy Graham and not allow a sack there, but then as he's scrambling forward, trying to throw the football away, he steps out. Trying to do the right thing, just maybe a little bit too late.
There is Lincoln Riley, only 32 years old. One of the rising stars in the coaching industry. Spent the previous 5 years as the OC at East Carolina. Second down and 17, and Oklahoma is going to take a timeout with that play clock winding down.
The previous play is under further review.
They're going to see if he did indeed get rid of that ball before Mayfield stepped down the line. I don't think he did upon those first looks at the replay. Let's take another one.
I think it's going to be his right foot or left foot that comes across right there. It's pretty close. It looks like it's touching the white.
Yeah.
And that was well before he tried to attempt to get the football out of his hand.
Great shot right there. You'd think this would be confirmed. Tom Robinson, our replay official today.
Talked about Baker Mayfield trying to get rid of the football. That's probably been a factor in some of the sacks this season. It hasn't been all on the offensive line. I think Lincoln Riley would tell you they'd like to see him try to get rid of the football a bit sooner or just utilize his legs.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The quarterback was out of bounds. Second down.
That's something that's easier said than done. When you're at the quarterback position, you're back there and you've got the athletic ability of Baker Mayfield. You don't want to give up on plays. And sometimes when things break down, that's when you're at your best. And Baker Mayfield is one of those special players.
Grew up in Austin, Texas, somehow an Oklahoma fan.
Always wanted to go to Oklahoma, but found his way first to Texas Tech. We talked about that big, true freshman season as a walk-on.
Second down and 17. Play action. Flag is down. Dimitri Flowers, the fullback, split in the defense. Second time today we've seen a running back right down the chute for reception, but a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Personal foul, chop block, offense number 78 and number 72, 15 yards from the previous spot, second down.
It's Orlando Brown and Derek Farniok.
We'll watch for a high-low on the left side of the offensive line of Oklahoma. That is about the textbook definition of a chop block as Orlando Brown goes low. Derek Farniok kind of gives a bit of a shoulder going high. They've tried to remove that from college football game for player safety.
So with the penalty, 2nd down and about a third of the field for Oklahoma. Joe Mixon in there running back. Big play capability. We've seen it already today. Mayfield with a straight drop. First read was taken away, so then he went down the sideline for D.D. Westbrook. And the ball was popped out. Bazzie Bates came over from his safety spot and jarred it loose.
Yeah, Bates got there just in time. You see him coming from the right side of your screen. Mayfield does a good job putting the ball that D.D. Westbrook could handle. It looked like he ensured the catch. Got a foot down, then kind of relaxed as he was going out of bounds. That's why it popped out.
A bit nonchalant from a guy who's been really good in his first season at Oklahoma. Nation's top JUCO wide receiver transfer. We're going to take a look.
The field is an incomplete forward pass. That ruling is under further review.
So they're going to take a look and see, was this a catch and then a fumble?
It's so hard now at any level in football, Joe, to determine whether or not a play is, or any reception is a catch anymore. Even at college football level, the NFL level. I mean, he clearly, it looks like he has that football secured, and he kind of relaxes as he's going out of bounds. And you see him drag his left foot. He loses the football, but that's well after he looked like had possession of the football and got 1 foot in bounds.
These are the kinds of plays Mike Pereira lives to talk about. What do you see, Mike Pereira, back in Los Angeles?
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, it's one of these that, you know, you look at real time, I thought it looked like a catch, quite frankly. And slow motion looks like a catch, but in real time comes out pretty quick. But you're right, he does get both feet on the ground, only needs one, then relaxes, then he's contacted. You know, to me, they may go with the old bang, bang thing here. Did he have it long enough to be considered a catch? You know, I'm the old advocate of staying with the calls on the field, and to me, that ball gets knocked out in real time quick.
It'll be interesting to see what they call. Obviously, it was called incomplete on the field, so it has to be beyond a shadow of a doubt to be overturned. It's been tough this college football season to really determine what ends up getting overturned and what doesn't. I think I don't know, maybe a little bit better than 50-50 at this point.
It's funny too, guys, how we always watch the referee to see how long he's taken, you know, because if he takes a long time, they were saying, oh, he's going to overturn it. We watch to see if his assistant or the other officials writing things down on the field. But I will tell you, it's become a guessing game pretty much on all levels of football, college, and the professional level. What is a catch? What is maintaining control long enough to be deemed to have completed the catch? And when you see him right down like this, to me, it looks like you've got the indication that they might be overturning it.
And hopefully they do, because this clearly looks like a catch to me. It'd be a shame to take that away from D.D. Westbrook and Baker Mayfield. And might I add, Baker Mayfield came in an audible to that particular play. Lincoln Riley talked about his ability now. He feels comfortable enough giving Baker Mayfield the ability to change plays or change some of the calls if he sees something. Right there, he saw the Kansas defense aligning in somewhat of a two-deep shell, and he went ahead and checked that particular route.
After further review, the receiver did have firm control. It is a completed pass. It'll be 3rd down at the 36-yard line for Oklahoma.
So I think whether or not you were above 50% before, that call just vaulted you above 50-50 for the year as far as you're successful.
Well, I've been trying to hedge my bets really with the language in which I speak, so I'm so ambiguous that I don't know if any of the listeners at home even know which side. But that one clearly looked like a catch to me.
I think you pretty clearly said that you thought it was a catch, so I'll give you credit for it. Still, though, it's 3rd down and long for Oklahoma.
And the matchup they've liked on 3rd down has really been number 3, Sterling Shepard. He's in the slot at the bottom of your screen.
Showing pressure from over top of it. They bring it with Shaw. It's picked up. There he is. Shepard's got it, but quickly belted by Bates. Well short of the first down. It'll be 4th and 5 from the 26.
Well, Clint Bowen's come back again with an all-out blitz, forcing Baker Mayfield to get the ball out of his hand quick. And who's the matchup he likes? Number 3, Sterling Shepard.
And they're going to go for it on 4th down and 4.
There's Jerron Neal one-on-one in the slot. They've worked to him a number of times as well.
Only a 4-man rush. On the slant, it's Westbrook. Strong hands for an Oklahoma first down, beating Marnez Ogletree.
Well, this is a 3-man route combination. Jerron Neal's going to clear it out for D.D. Westbrook, and watch him come underneath. This is just pure speed and quickness by D.D. Westbrook. It's what makes Oklahoma's offense so tough to match up against when you talk about the running game and the passing game.
Said strong hands, really strong helmet. Pinned it against his face mask to bring it in. They get it in his hands quickly, and Westbrook explodes inside the 5. It's first down and goal, Oklahoma. 17 yards.
And this play was made possible by the left tackle, number 78, Orlando Brown, the big boy, getting outside in space and creating a block that helped open up the screen.
First down and goal, and Mayfield goes under center. Play action, end zone, incomplete. Pass was off of the hands of Vance Galloway. And it's second down.
Well, Vance Galloway's to the right of your screen. Everyone's focusing on Samaje Perine after his record-setting performance last year. And there it is, a wide open Galloway, but can't seem to bring it in.
And Brady, it's actually, so 85 on the roster is Galloway, but Sam Grant, an offensive lineman, changed his jersey to wear 85. That was Grant. Here's Perine. Reaching into the end zone for the Oklahoma touchdown. Why try to get too cute when you got Samaje Perine to go downhill?
Perine's so difficult to bring down, whether you're inside in a phone booth or out in space. He's only 5'10". He gets low to the ground, drives those legs. There's not much to tackle.
Seibert's extra point is good. Deflating moments of this game right here for Kansas, who for a couple moments there looked like they had Oklahoma stopped on this drive. Sooners convert 4th down and punch it in with Perine, 28-7.
Coming up on the State Farm halftime, 12th-ranked Oklahoma State trying to extend their undefeated start. Plus, we're 1 week till Clemson FSU. First, though, the Tigers need to remain unbeaten, and we'll have the latest on the J.T. Barrett suspension at Ohio State. Joe Brady, we'll see you at the break.
All right, Rob, big news day in college football already. 14-play, 5-minute, 54-second drive, both season longs for Oklahoma.
We just saw the news with J.T. Barrett, quarterback for Ohio State. Ohio State's on their bye week. It's reported as being pulled over for operating a vehicle under the influence. Incredibly unfortunate, and it starts off the fact that the young man's only 20 years old, so he shouldn't have been drinking illegally in the first place, but then to get in a car after drinking is never the answer, especially in an era where you have Uber.
Yeah.
But on top of that, the guy who went to pick him up when he got out of jail, Cardell Jones.
Yeah.
What about that?
The guy that will step into the quarterbacking role with J.T. Barrett suspended. At least 1 week, they say at this point. This ball is returnable for Shadler, who can't get it back to the 20. Ohio State, one of the remaining unbeatens, 3 times as many unbeatens at this point as there were last year.
Yeah, and you've got to look at this and say, well, how's the College Football Committee going to look at all of these unbeaten teams with their first ranking coming out Tuesday of next week? That ranking should give us an idea of really how strong they view the Big Ten Conference, the Big 12 Conference, the ACC, and the SEC based on some of these undefeated teams' rankings and some of the 1-loss and 2-loss teams.
Really interesting. So jumbled at the top. So many teams you can make a case for. Willis in the quick game on time for Patrick, who's got a touchdown today and has close to a first down here. Dominique Alexander with a tackle just to put a bow on the playoff discussion. It's worth noting that the first rankings that came out last year, Mississippi State was #1, Auburn was 3, Ole Miss was 4. So a lot to happen in this final month.
Florida State, the only team actually to play in the college football playoff after the first ranking.
Yeah, they were #3 in that ranking. First touch today for Taylor Cox. Redshirt senior from Washington has a Kansas first down.
And the key for this Kansas offense is having more success on first down. Their first down play on this drive, a completion to Tyler Patrick on the outside, working versus Dakota Austin. He's in for the injured Zach Sanchez, cornerback for Oklahoma.
Willis, strong throw for Steven Sims. We're seeing some of that arm strength that they rave about with Willis.
Yeah, talking to offensive coordinator Rob Likens, I mean, they really had to adapt and change to Ryan Willis. Once the injury occurred to Montel Cozart, he's not as athletic. He's more of a prototypical pocket passer.
Should be a free play and is. Back shoulder they go for Sims. And a Kansas first down up to the 45. It's Matt Diamond that jumped into the neutral zone. This discussion makes you wonder if he was drawn
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against the defense. Offside, number 94. That penalty is declined. Pass interference, defense number 7. That penalty is also declined. Result of the play is a first down.
It's on Jordan Thomas.
You got one-on-one coverage on the outside. Free play. Sometimes those defenders tend to lose a little bit of their attention, and they see that thinking the play is going to be stopped. But Steven Sims, true freshman, did a nice job of releasing downfield to get the completion. We're starting to see that rapport and that relationship between Ryan Willis and some of these freshman wide receivers he's got on the outside.
Yeah, we saw the touchdown earlier to Tyler Patrick, a redshirt freshman. Here's Taylor Cox bouncing off of the line of scrimmage. Good first down gain. Kansas is one of 3 FBS teams with 3 freshmen that have at least 12 receptions this year.
And there you see the cast of targets that Kansas is looking to build upon for the future. Boy, Ryan looks young through that face mask, doesn't he?
Second down and 5. Willis throwing one long and incomplete. It was Shaquem Barbell, the intended receiver, but on a contact out there. Third down.
When Ryan Willis actually changed the route combination, he saw something he liked on the right side. Watch his right hand. Watch right there. Gives a little fake snap symbol. Now he's rubbing his hands together, changed the route, then he looks back, gives him a little something else. Clearly saw something he liked, trying to get the ball to Shaquem Barbell. Was able to get through, but that's the progression for a freshman quarterback, being able to see things you like, change the plays, and get those matchups.
Oklahoma bringing it on third down. Perfect play call for the defense they had on. Cox the beneficiary. First down, Kansas.
You called it, Joe. There's not a better play call versus the pressure blitz than a screen. Taylor Cox does a nice job of disguising, not allowing the defense to get a hint that it is a screen. So it was scamper downfield for the first down.
Keon Kinner got off to such a great start this year with back-to-back 100-yard games. The National JUCO Player of the Year last year. But after that hot start, it's cooled off. And more of the load lately for DeAndre Mann, and bottom line lately, Kansas just hasn't been as productive. Not as many yards to go around. Play action. Zipped outside, but off of the hands of his intended receiver. An incomplete third down. We've seen several drops today. This one, Austin Moses.
This is another demonstration of Ryan Willis' arm strength. That ball's got a lot of zip as it's going to the sidelines, and I think it's the 4th drop I've seen so far today. As Oklahoma tries to call timeout, Kansas hurried to the line of scrimmage.
Timeout, Oklahoma. That's their first charge timeout of the half. It'll be a full timeout.
Aerial coverage today brought to you by DirecTV, now part of the AT&T family. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Same blimp that was at Kauffman Stadium this week for the first couple of games of the World Series, which is 2-1 now going into tonight's game in New York.
It got a little more interesting last night. That's able to finally get a win. See if they can piggyback off that tonight.
How about this drive Kansas is putting together, finally sustaining something?
Yeah, but look, this is a big third down, not quite in field goal range, so I'd really like to try to move the sticks here. If you're looking for a matchup so far, Steven Sims has come up with some nice grabs, as well as Trey Parmalee, number 11, in the slot in the bottom of the screen.
10th play of the drive here, longest drive of the day for the Jayhawks. On 3rd and 7, Willis goes outside, dropped again. My goodness. Barbell this time. What's that, the 5th drop we've seen from Kansas?
Yeah, it's the 2nd or 3rd by Barbell. They run a nice little pick combination with Tyler Patrick to force Stephen Parker to go over the top. You see the room, but Barbell not able to come up with the pass. I mean, you can't ask for much more from Ryan Willis the way he's thrown the ball so far today.
8 for 18, but you get rid of those drops, he's about 13 for 18. They will go for it on 4th down, though he's had a quick kick depth, and that is what it is. Well done. Can they cover it? They don't need to. Out of bounds at the 3.
They call that the old coffin corner.
On Halloween. Nice. Beautifully done. And the quick kick from the freshman quarterback. And Oklahoma's got it inside its own 5 when you come back. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. Back here in Lawrence and Mount Oriad. Kansas, founded in the 1860s. Gorgeous campus in a really nice town to spend a weekend in.
Great food. Great hospitality at our hotel here in town in Lawrence. A very charming college town.
Absolutely. Kansas with the punt from Willis as Oklahoma backed into its own end. Trying to pound away with Perine. Look out. Samaje Perine takes it across the 25 and delivers a blow to Brandon Stewart.
Good gosh, that was violent at the end of that run. Arm tackles aren't going to get it done versus Samaje Perine. Watch all the defenders for Kansas. They get arms on him, but you got to bring your entire body to bring this guy down. That's why he was so successful last year, setting an NCAA rushing record for a single game.
427. 1 week after Melvin Gordon had set the record with 408. It's him again. It's a big hole again. Opened up by that offensive line. Like we talked about, different year last year. Different offensive line that he's running behind this year.
And they feel like they've been a little more solidified the past couple weeks with this offensive line group. Number 75, Drew Samia, the true freshman, gets the start today over Josiah St. John. But besides the injury, too, to Alvarez, been pretty consistent.
Mayfield turning the shoulders despite the pressure. Lofts it downfield. Shepard gets interfered with. Toss it up there. Give your best receiver a chance. Brandon Stewart calling for the flag. That's some toughness from Baker Mayfield, who knew the hit was coming.
There are flags on the play.
Pass interference. Defense number 8, 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Well, Baker Mayfield's going to take a little boot action to the left side of the screen. Watch 2 players. Dede Westbrook, who was wide open, and then Sterling Shepard run this deep post. Now, Mayfield has Westbrook. He's open. He still could get it to him, but instead he takes the matchup to Sterling Shepard on the backside. Brandon Stewart got beat. Really all he could do to get back into phase with the wide receiver and prevent the big catch.
Go big or go home, right?
That's what Baker Mayfield said.
I guess.
He's like, I don't want a first down. I want it all. I want a touchdown.
17 of 21 today for Mayfield. 255 and 3 touchdowns. First down and 10 in Kansas territory inside of the 5-minute mark in this opening half. Mark Andrews across the 40 and a pickup of 8. 2nd and 2.
Mark Andrews came in as a wide receiver to Oklahoma, has converted to what is basically a hybrid tight end. Big frame, 6'5", 245, has great hands. A lot of production too. 12 catches, 5 touchdowns in the year.
It's odd today. We've seen 2 catches and no touchdowns for him. Jarvis Baxter making a man miss. Juking Marquise Roberts, getting a first down inside the 35 on Baxter's first catch of the day.
And credit number 19, Dallas Todd, setting up the block on Tevin Shaw to allow him to get outside. Probably going to see a number of some of these younger wideouts for Oklahoma mix in as Oklahoma continues to build a lead.
Pirine loses a yard. Good job of the interior of that Kansas defense that time. Daniel Wise was there. And it's 2nd down, 11.
Oklahoma slowing down their pace a bit, but watch Kansas bring some pressure. Roberts off the edge. Smithson's able to see and identify the run quite quickly and get in to make the tackle for a loss.
Big 12's leader in solo tackles is number 9 in blue. Again, Westbrook pinballing his way across the 30. And a good first half for D.D. Westbrook. 4 catches now. And 3rd down and 5 for Oklahoma.
Fish Smithson, one of the leaders here at Kansas. Athletes selected to be a part of this leadership training they had in the Big 12. Seems to be all over the field. When you put on the tape, this guy is everywhere.
Hard count got him to jump. Flag flies. Free play. Mayfield extending it. Scramble drill. And incomplete.
Pass is incomplete.
But another flag comes out. They're going to get Ogletree for pass interference. All kinds of laundry.
What I love about this too was Jarvis Baxter was open again short, but Mayfield just keeps trying to take shots to the end zone. Westbrook was pushed out of bounds, but once he established himself back in bounds, you saw Ogletree then turn to try to defend him.
And there is no face guarding in college football, but if you're making contact and not making a play on the ball, it will draw the flag.
You just got to turn that head around and find the ball.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offside. Defense number 99. Illegal touching. Offense number 11. He was out of bounds on his own. It was came back in and was the first to touch the ball. Those penalties will offset. We'll replay 3rd down.
So it wasn't pass interference. It was illegal touching, like we thought he had avoided.
Well, it's interesting. Watch this is D.D. Westbrook right here at the top of your screen. And I guess it's because he wasn't forced out of bounds that it would be then illegal for him to reestablish himself and be the first person to touch the football. But you could make a case that DB had a little bit to do with that.
One of those gray area calls. So 3rd down and 5 after the offsetting penalties. Kansas bringing it, picked up. Mayfield with time, but sails it high for Jarvis Baxter. Had him open, instead 4th down. We've seen him go on 4th down on this spot in the field.
Mayfield puts a ton of RPMs on this football. Look at that ball spinning. Just a bit too high, though, for Jarvis Baxter trying to bring it in. And you can tell he's frustrated. He had a man wide open for the first down.
And instead, they will kick here. Austin Seibert had his first miss of the season, first miss of his career last week from 32, and hit the upright from 31 earlier today. From 46. Got it. One of the top kickers in the country as a freshman from Belleville, Illinois. 46-yarder is a new career long for Seibert. Kansas with a football when you come back. 31-7. Oklahoma in front of Kansas on Halloween. State Farm halftime coming up in just a bit. Those are some creative costumes there. Those are road construction cones.
Crayons.
Crayons, yeah.
That scares me.
Yeah, that's more traditional. Those minions. Sailors. Good variety. Taylor Cox back to return this kick along with Ryan Shadler from Nick Hodgson. Shadler takes a knee. Kansas will start at the 25-yard line. We've got more college football for you tonight. Texas, Iowa State, and Arizona takes its high-scoring offense up to Seattle to take on Washington. Texas, last couple of weeks, doing some impressive things. Oklahoma knows all about that. The Red River rivalry game. Big upset win, and then they followed that in the rain with a win against Kansas State last week.
2:34 left, 3 timeouts, plenty of time for Kansas to try to put together a drive, get a score, and then get the ball coming out of halftime.
Willis has been plagued by some drops from his wide receivers. Scans the field. Good job to check it down, and Keon Kinner runs for 7, tackled by Frank Shannon. 2nd down and 3.
As a former player and quarterback, you love to see this type of progression from a freshman, working through all 3 of his reads to find the check down running back, which you seldom see anymore in college football.
Looking into pressure, floating into double coverage, and incomplete. Sailing Barbell, and it's 3rd and 3.
Well, clearly they like the matchup versus Dakota Austin, trying to take shots over towards Stephen Parker and some of those defensive backs for Oklahoma on that side. Barbell's dropped a few balls already today, but they seem to be working that right side of the field quite often.
Wants one-on-one. Good coverage this time from Thomas, so Willis will slide close to a 1st down. Dominique Alexander, credit for the tackle. Looks like they're just short.
Talked about Jordan Thomas on the coverage. Really, it was number 40, P.L. Lindley, too, getting outside. You'll see him disappear from the screen, helping to cover. Credit Willis. It's close. He looks like he's right on our marker.
And they are going to punt. On 4th down and inches. You know, like Willis taking care of his body, but
and if you're 0-7, be alert for a possible fake, right? What do you got to lose going against the number 14 team in the country?
Timeout, Kansas. That's their first charge timeout of the half. It'll be a 30-second timeout.
Play clock could run out. Back in 30 seconds. Well, homecoming celebration on the roof of the Oriat Hotel just across the way.
Looks like a fun time.
Yeah, and I hear that place is not haunted like the one we were in.
Yeah, I think my room actually was haunted.
See what they do here. 4th down and inches. Punt team's out there, and they will punt it. Shepard awkwardly makes the catch at the 20. He's fumbled one of those already today. It's a 45-yard punt for Wyman. 1:16 and 2 timeouts for Oklahoma to try and extend this lead.
It's a lot of time for a team that can score in a hurry. And the way things have gone so far today, Baker Mayfield's been absolutely on fire. 20 for 24, 274 yards and 3 touchdown passes. It's not even the end of the first half.
Kansas has given up at least 500 yards in 6 consecutive games, and still a drive to be had in this first half. They're already at 391. Baker Mayfield so efficient today. These kinds of throws help that cause. Sterling Shepard breaking it to the outside. And pulled down by Fish Smithson with a flag down after 23 yards. Likely a face mask. That would move it into Kansas territory just like that.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 15, 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
Chevy Graham called for that.
You're going to be able to see Fish Smithson come in at the end. The only guy who was able to bring down Sterling Shepard as he cut back across the field. It's considered a personal foul because that aided in the ability of Smithson to bring down Sterling Shepard. Sometimes you see defenders just grab and let go. But in that particular case, it turned Sterling Shepard's head all the way around and brought him to the ground.
So clearly it wasn't Graham who they called it on. It was Smithson. First down from the 42, right about where Kansas was had they tried for it on 4th down. Mayfield throws it out of bounds. And it's 2nd and 10. Sterling Shepard, by the way, with this big day, 9 catches, 139 and a touchdown, has moved into 3rd place all time in receiving yards at Oklahoma.
Be curious to see if he can catch Mark Clayton. Outstanding wide receiver at OU. He needs about, what, simple math there, about 300 and some yards.
He'll not be catching Ryan Broyles, who is the all-time leader in receiving yards. 4,500. Here's Pirine. Flag down, first down. See what the call is. A little bit of a sloppy final couple minutes of this first half. Brad Van Vark has been busy.
Holding. Offense number 19, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Replay, 2nd down.
Dallas Todd.
A redshirt freshman, a bit more inexperienced. We don't see him quite as much the course of the season, but you can see him kind of grabbing on the outside of the shoulder pads. With only 34 seconds left, 2 timeouts for Oklahoma. They've got to start thinking about wanting to use some of those timeouts as they work their way down the field.
Mayfield wants Shepard. Inside the 5, reaching for the end zone. They mark him down before the ball came out. Inside the 3, first down and goal on his 10th catch of this first half. Over 160 yards.
Or the other thing you do is just throw it to Sterling Shepard every single time you have the football. And again, matched up on Fish Smithson, who's a great safety and coming up and making a tackle. But look at this view from the blimp. Absolutely gorgeous. And I don't necessarily know that Sterling Shepard didn't get that ball across the goal line.
Well, 172 for the senior from Oklahoma City, who's healthy again after that disappointing junior year last year where he dealt with a groin injury. He's averaging about 130 yards per game last year through the halfway mark before that injury slowed him down, and they had no passing game at all last year.
Yeah, it was pretty much a run-heavy team. And you've got Samaje Perine in the backfield. Joe Mixon not able to play, was suspended for last season. But Sterling Shepard, he's only 5'10". The guy seems so much bigger than that, though, the way he plays, the way he high points the football. He's able to make catches.
The play of the runner down by rule is under further review.
Yeah, and I think they're thinking the same thing you were. There's a chance that he was in. Let's see.
Look to see if his knees hit the ground before. Look at the extension.
Wow.
Outstanding. I think he gets that across the goal line.
I think he's at least closer than where they spotted him around the 3.
But watch him extend his legs, and I don't know that his right, maybe his shin's down right there.
Yeah.
So it'll be close, but
maybe inside the 1.
Just a ridiculously athletic play. We talked about the matchup on Fish Smithson. I mean, I would like to see Kansas play a bit more man coverage. Put a nickel back, a cornerback, match someone else up with Sterling Shepard. So you're not trying to force a safety to try to match up with him in pass coverage.
We saw some great athleticism, body control from Sterling Shepard in that double overtime win at Tennessee. Without even trying to, did the Superman pose and the game-winning touchdown. We're flying into the end zone. What a career for this guy.
Maybe that's what he's going to be for Halloween, Superman.
Yeah, it would work.
Very fitting the way he's playing in this first half.
With all these reviews we've had, they're going to be on an airplane for all of Halloween and we'll make it back in time. And Chris Budden told us earlier, guy's been around the program his entire life. Bob Stoops took him under his wing after his father Derek passed away. As they take a look at this, take a long look at it. Mike Pereira, what are you seeing?
Well, I'll tell you, I see him down, certainly closer to the goal line, but, you know, it looks like he rolls over in his ankle first, and that doesn't put him down. You've got to get all the way to the shin, and then it does get to the shin, and to neither the ball's almost inside the 1 yard line, so I would think they might move it up a little bit, but I still think he's short of the goal line.
All right, Mike. So many gray areas, you know, like where does the ankle become the shin? How can you tell that through a sock?
Yeah, especially tough when you got someone with cankles, right? Because then where do you tell? Where does the shin begin? And where...
Well, I've never sprained my shin.
Okay, fair.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
But again, cankles come into play there.
Yeah, good thing.
If you can't
Sterling
determine what's the calf, what's the ankle. You got a tough job, Mike. I don't know how you guys do it.
Taking a lot of time to figure this one out. Again, he was spotted down just outside the 2. And our best guess, putting our heads together on this one, is that it should be spotted inside the 1.
Mike, what could they possibly still be looking at and talking about? Well, he's not with us, but here's the announcement. Let's go back to Mike Pereira. Mike, what could they possibly be still talking about?
Well, you know, anytime they're under this, looking at this long, you wonder what they might be. Maybe the clock situation, or is there some element other in the play that could be reviewable? And, you know, I wouldn't think so. You know, and to me, we gave him a lot of good shots, and, you know, I think just the fact of where do you move it if you're going to move it
on the
forward.
field is confirmed. The runner was down short of the goal line at the 1 yard line. First down, Oklahoma.
So they move it forward 1 yard. They originally had it placed at the 2. They move it up to the 1. I almost thought maybe if they would have considered him not down by his shin, that maybe they were looking at then did he maintain possession as he reached across the goal line. That's the only thing I could think, but.
So he said confirmed.
That's a possibility, but it took too long anyway.
Yeah, as it is, first down and goal either way. Inside of a half minute left in this first half. And Perine finishes it off with an Oklahoma touchdown. His second of the day. The Sooners marching down the field. The 2-minute drill. They go up 37-7 late in the first half.
This is really just all the power and experience of the Oklahoma offensive line on the right side. See fullback number 36, Dimitri Flowers, get a nice kick out. And look, if you're one-on-one with Samaje Perine and he's only got to get a yard, good luck.
Yeah. My favorite analogy that we've heard this year about Samaje Perine, I believe it was Carl Joseph from West Virginia said trying to tackle him was like trying to tackle a laundry cart. Sterling Shepard set it all up with that long reception, and then the laundry cart plunged in for his second score of the day. All Oklahoma in Kansas. You're gonna kill it, dude. 38-7 Oklahoma trying to make it 3 consecutive wins after that Texas loss against Kansas, one of the least experienced teams in the country. In danger of falling to 0-8 on the season. Ryan Schaber back to return this kick from Nick Hodgson. As you look down at Memorial Stadium from our blimp today. Oldest stadium west of the Mississippi. Rose Bowl was built a year after. Coliseum in LA a year after that. In 1921 this place was erected.
Well, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with the Movember Foundation and their commitment to changing the face of men's health. Join us at moteam.co/Fox-Sports to learn more about how we are getting involved in the Movember movement.
Some great shots, some facial hair. It's odd that you did that read since you can't grow any.
Not at all.
No. Patchy.
Patchy,
right?
That's a compliment. I can't grow any facial hair.
And they will take a knee and head into the locker rooms with Oklahoma cruising up 38-7. Ryan Willis has not played poorly in this half. He's been plagued by some drops from his receivers, and the Kansas defense having a hard time stopping him. Should we go down to Chris Budden?
Coach Stoops, you told us you wanted Baker Mayfield to play mistake-free. What have you thought of his performance in this first half?
Yeah, he's been great. He's been excellent, taking care of the football. Really, the whole team has, running it, throwing it. Defense has really been good, so it was a good half.
In a game like this, how pleased are you with the way that your team's been able to keep up this momentum?
Yeah, that's what we said all along is, let's create our own energy and let's make improvement. Now, so far we have.
Appreciate it. Good luck in the second half. Joe?
All right, Chris, Coach Stoops. That does it for this first half. Right now we send it to Rob Stone in Los Angeles. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico, and we look down from way up high here in Lawrence. The Kansas band during this halftime on homecoming. Alumni band was in there as well. They had one alumni baton twirler who still had it. I mean, she was good.
She was amazing.
Yeah. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, welcome you back inside, getting ready to start this second half. So Kansas obviously with a tall task today, and Oklahoma's offense has had its way, 466 yards, doing it with a big play. 7 plays of at least 20 yards for OU.
Yeah, coming into this matchup, the Kansas coaching staff was really concerned with stopping Samaje Perine after his record-setting performance last year. Well, guess what? It's been the Sterling Shepard show, and he's been outstanding from the very first play of the game. Big 41-yard catch, helps set up their first touchdown. There's Joe Mixon with another big play, slipping right down the middle of the Kansas defense. And then Samaje Perine getting in on some of the action. Hammering with just a strong run downfield. But it's really been Sterling Shepard who's been absolutely amazing as he cuts across the field and then makes the big catches downfield. Joe, he's got 10 catches so far in this game. The Kansas wide receivers combined only have 10 catches.
Yeah, and he's got more than twice as many yards as the Jayhawks receivers do. We take a look at the Lincoln Motor Company first half stats. 466 yards of offense for Oklahoma, most of that coming through the air, like you talked about, with Kansas focusing on limiting that Oklahoma running game. We go down to Chris Budden, who talked to Coach Beatty.
Yeah, first thing I asked him was, what do you tell your team at halftime down 31 points? And he said, why, Tom, we're not out of this. You got to come out and score in this first possession. He said, that will tell a lot. He said, hey, the Sooners have played well, but we helped them a lot. As you guys said, too many plays on third down, giving up the big opportunities, also some drop balls. He said, we've been in this position before. We know what this feels like. It will say a lot if they can score on this first possession, Joe.
Yeah, Chris, you mentioned the drop footballs, and they've really been working to Shaquem Barbell, number 82. Coming into the game, Trey Parmley's been their leading wide receiver. He's only got a couple targets so far in this game. Got to work to your playmakers.
Kansas will have it to begin half number 2. Hodgson, such a strong leg, sends it out of the back of the end zone. Kansas ready for its first possession of the second half. Its offensive leaders, pretty much all young guys. Ryan Willis, true freshman quarterback, plagued by those drops. Numbers would be a lot better. DeAndre Mann is a senior. They worked him often early, but Oklahoma did a good job of shutting him down. And then receiving, Tyler Patrick had his first career touchdown catch. He's a redshirt freshman out of the Woodlands, Texas. Future's bright for this Kansas program, but going through some tough times in the meantime. From the 25-yard line, they start with DeAndre Mann. And no room against that Oklahoma defense. It's been so good in this month of October. Frank Shannon, credit for the tackle. And for Jordan Evans, who's missing another game with a calf strain. Shannon has been really nice in his place. 13 tackles to lead the way last week. Good job again today. Willis throws into the pressure. Well done. Shaquem Barbell, who had a case of the drops in the first half, pulls that one in for a dozen and a first down.
Yeah, nice little stop and go route by Barbell. Looked like he was running a hitch route. Pause for a second, and then accelerated into the Oklahoma secondary.
Willis will tuck it and go down. Wanted to throw wide side, was taken away. Second down. Sooners show pressure and bring 4. It still gets through, and Willis gets decked. Charles Tapper, his second sack of the day, 3rd and long.
The left guard, 76. Brian Peters gets beat with a spin move by Charles Tapper. 6'2", 282 pounds. That's an athletic move for a big man.
Yeah. He was a first-team all-conference player 2 years ago as a sophomore, but a disappointing junior season. Getting it going again here as a senior. Part of this defense that's been dominant in October. On 3rd and long, they run a draw, and it goes nowhere. Matt Diamond was there first on DeAndre Mann. Dominique Alexander finished him off. Punt team comes out.
We just showed you that stat, how dominant this defense has been in getting sacks and getting turnovers. You have to go back to the 1997 Florida State team that went 11-1 and beat Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. Guys like Samari Roll, Tay Cody in the secondary on the receiving end of some of those interceptions. So quite the talented group at Florida State.
21 sacks this month to go along with 10 interceptions. They held only 2 takeaways in the entire month of September. Sterling Shepard pulled down across the 30. And Baker Mayfield in this offense ready to come back out. Impressive first half, 466 yards. That included 332 through the air for the junior from Austin, Texas.
Sometimes you get a little sleepy in the second half. A little smelling salt, a little ammonia, that'll wake you right up. Look at that.
They look like they enjoy it so much.
I wouldn't believe me if you had to. If you have to put that in front of your face, you would like to turn to a fellow coach. Everyone's getting a little bit of it. No letdown from this Oklahoma team.
Well, Baker Mayfield's first half, 22 of 27. Number 3 in the country in passing efficiency. He was plenty efficient in that first half. Samaje Perine, oh yeah, had 90 yards. And Sterling Shepard with the 2nd most receiving yards in a half in Oklahoma history. First drive of the second half begins from the 33. And it begins with a Mayfield throw on the speed out. Sterling Shepard thrown down by Michael Glatzik. 11th catch of the day for the senior. Having another all-conference type season.
Kansas continues to play this 4-deep zone coverage, leaving a lot of room and space. At some point, you got to get up in his face, playing man-to-man.
Mixon. Tripped up by Glatzik, back-to-back tackles. I think it was offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley that told us of Joe Mixon earlier this week. He's got the ability to make those jaw-dropping plays. And you see more and more times where he's close to snapping one off.
It's unusual you see a guy as tall as he is at running back make as such drastic change of directions when he cuts.
6'1", 215, smooth. First down, 46-yard line, play action, double move, down the sideline, and back shoulder D.D. Westbrook. On a gain of 29, first down and 10, Oklahoma.
Just beautiful execution. D.D. Westbrook's going to slant and go. There's the slant part, now he's going to release outside. Baker Mayfield sees that a defender, Ogletree's on top, so he throws it right on his back shoulder on an absolute line. Absolute laser show is what that was.
Yeah. Perine's first carry of the second half goes for nothing. Daniel Wise in there in the middle of it, along with Dorrance Armstrong. Second down. Samaje Perine, sophomore out of Texas, chose Oklahoma over Alabama, which was the program he grew up cheering for, but decided to come to OU despite being part of the same class as Joe Mixon. This guy's selfless enough where they didn't mind sharing the load. Second down, quick throw into the short side. Westbrook close to a first down.
You talked about a running back sharing the load. I mean, nowadays, these guys want to try to show their ability at the collegiate level and get to the NFL as soon as possible, because unfortunately, all the carries and all those hits that you take only take away from your production eventually in the NFL when you're getting paid to play the game.
There's one thing Bob Stoops said about it this week, that these guys recognize that coming in, that you don't take as much of a beating over the course of your college career. You're sharing those carries. Here's Mixon, cut back, inside the 5, towards the goal line, and down inside the 1. Quite a nice burst from the redshirt freshman for 16 yards.
Yeah, look at the left side of the offensive line. Watch number 56, Ty Darlington, gets a nice extension. Orlando Brown does his job, and we talked about the cutting ability of Joe Mixon.
Mayfield goes under center. He'll sneak it and get himself a touchdown had there not been a whistle before the snap.
Snap. Timeout, Oklahoma. That's their first timeout of the half.
And Mayfield saying, come on, rob me of a rushing touchdown. We'll take the break with them. All Oklahoma, what has turned into a beautiful day. 38-7, Oklahoma. Aerial coverage today brought to you by DirecTV. Now part of the AT&T family. Call 1-800-DirecTV. It has turned into a beautiful day. It's perfect football weather. We were down on the field before the game, but was overcast. Sun has now popped out.
Yeah, I think Coach Beatty called it. He said, yeah, these clouds are going to burn off. It's going to be, what, close to 65, 70?
Yeah.
Perfect football weather.
First down and goal for Oklahoma. Mixon is back there. Let's see if they allow him to pay this off. He had the 16-yard run to get him down to the 1. It is Mixon. That's football at its best right there. Man against man. Yeah, no gain. Second down.
And this is the difference between Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. Samaje Perine gets this ball into the end zone. He'll be lower. He's got a little more weight to him. Listen to the pop. But Marquise Roberts, tremendous job coming up, making the tackle, and getting the stop.
Mayfield play action, end zone, touchdown for the big man, Sam Grant, who's an offensive lineman that now and then will throw on that eligible 85 uniform and get himself a touchdown.
Well, he's not fooling me. The way he runs, he looks just like an offensive lineman. Look at that release. But again, so tough to stop when you have Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon in that backfield on that particular play with a play action fake. Can't help but bite up on the run.
Yeah. So Oklahoma does, on its first drive of the second half, what it did for most of the first half. That is march down, no problem, and punch it in. Sam Grant with his moment of glory. Touchdown for the big fella. Pretty nice day. You think it's warm enough to take a plunge?
Be my guest, but I'm not getting in there with you, buddy.
No, well, I wasn't planning on it. It's more rhetorical, I guess.
How about this? 40-plus points for Oklahoma. 92-1 under head coach Bob Stoops.
So you're saying there's a pretty good chance. Huddle up with college football experts and live web chats all season long. A new guest every week. The Edward Jones College Football Huddle on FoxSports.com. Memorial Stadium off in the distance. Beautiful shots today from way up high. It's Taylor Cox back to return this kick from Nick Hodgson. Third season handling the kickoff duties for Oklahoma. Fifth-year senior from North Richland Hills, Texas. Ryan Shadler, former track star, Wichita State, can't get that sprinter speed going, pulled down to the 20. And there was a flag down.
During the return, holding number 24 of the receiving team, 10 yards from the end of the run, first down.
Hello, Chris Button.
Well, David Beatty received an email earlier this week from a former Jayhawk, Gary Cooper, who played in the late 60s and 70s, was an offensive tackle. And he wrote him to tell him about this year that they went 1-9. He said, I wanted to remind these guys what you're playing for. His intention was never to have any of the players see it, but Coach Beatty decided to make copies of it and send it to everyone. I talked to him today. He said, listen, when you're going through seasons like that, it's not just tough to come to practice, to the games, but even going to class. I want these guys to remember what they're playing for.
All right, Chris, good stuff. Man goes for short gain on first down, and the ball comes out. Oklahoma's got it. Stephen Parker recovers it for the Sooners. And the going gets more difficult for KU.
Watch the end of this run. DeAndre Mann's going to try to get to the outside as he cuts up. Looks like Charles Tapper, number 91, is able to punch the football out. And there's Stephen Parker, Johnny on the spot, and recover the fumble.
Tough times for Kansas football. You want to talk about a guy with conviction that he's going to get it turned around. David Beatty, as they bring in Trevor Knight to run quarterback now, replacing Baker Mayfield.
Look at the arms of Trevor Knight. He's got some pipes, man.
Sun's out, guns out.
He's flexing.
Yeah.
Maybe staying flexing. I don't know.
Fourth time he's come in this year. Former starter. Started 10 games last year before an injury ended his season. Was hurt against Baylor by Sean Oakman. He was the MVP of the Sugar Bowl after his freshman season. Future looked really bright for him, but struggled some last year. Then the injury knocked him out of the lineup.
The ruling of the field of a fumble recovered by Oklahoma is under further review.
So we're going to take a look at this, but lost the job during fall camp, did Knight, to Baker Mayfield, who no doubt is a better fit in Lincoln Riley's offense.
Looking to see if the ball is out before it appears that any knee or elbow is down on the ground. Looks pretty definitive that that is indeed a fumble.
We started talking a moment ago about how difficult things are right now and how David Beatty continues to speak with such conviction that he'll get it turned around.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Oklahoma.
He told us this week they're going to have a hard time getting me out of here. I love this place. And we talked to him on the field before the game today. He said, it's fun to come here, right? We agreed. It's a great town to come to. And he said, you know what? It's going to get a lot more fun within the next couple years.
Yeah, and I think he's got a lot of optimism because of all the talent he sees in this freshman class. And he's excited to continue to win the recruiting battle and bring talented players here to Lawrence, Kansas.
Drive starts inside the 20. And Knight pulls it. It gets clipped down inside the 15-yard line by Tevin Shaw. What a day it was for Baker Mayfield, who went 27 of 32 today. 383 yards, 4 touchdowns, and like Bob Stoops told us he was hoping for, a mistake-free game, no interceptions.
He did just that. If this Oklahoma team continues on this path and they win the Big 12, Baker Mayfield's going to be in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony.
2nd and 5, Knight to throw it. Mark Andrews, first down. Came into the game 5 touchdowns on 10 catches. 3 catches and no touchdowns today. What in the world is wrong with him?
I don't know. I'm actually pretty disappointed in Mark Andrews and this Oklahoma offense getting the ball. I'm being completely sarcastic. Yeah, but keep an eye on him still down in the red zone. He's singled up to the bottom of the screen in this 3-by-1 set. And you've got to like his size and athletic ability. versus any defensive back for Kansas on the field.
Brandon Stewart's on him right now. He's got 5 inches and 75 pounds on him. Knight scrambling, has an opening, and driven down from behind by Joe Deneen. 2nd and goal.
Both quarterbacks at Oklahoma have the ability to run when, if need be. So strength for both Trevor Knight and Baker Mayfield.
It's Knight on a quarterback sneak. 2nd effort gets him in. Touchdown, Oklahoma. It's Knight's first touchdown of the year.
Well, it's going to be tough sledding for this Kansas team, in particular for the senior class who's been through coaching changes and had to deal with changing schemes and systems. Something that's not easy to deal with, especially when you first set out to go to college, play football.
He's partially blocked, still able to get through. Things clicking in all phases for Oklahoma right now. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. Back after this.
Number 14 Oklahoma leads Kansas 52-7 here with 8:19 left in the 3rd quarter. And we talked about Kansas not giving up. And it's sometimes hard to see, but look at the last PAT. Number 96 Daniel Wise, redshirt freshman, gets a hand on the PAT. Now it still converts for a point, but that easily could have been an example, Joe, of a team just giving up and letting Oklahoma try to get this extra point and not giving any effort. So clearly this team, as Coach Beatty said, is still continuing to try and give effort and still trying to get that first win eager. Now they're not going to today, but in the future, I really think Kansas will be able to do some things.
Yeah, and that's right. Those are the ingredients for it, to be able to battle through what they're going through right now. Sure do bump that music in here. Kick out of the back of the end zone. What a month we've got ahead of us in the Big 12. The schedule backloaded this season, so all the contenders about to go head-to-head. Baylor goes to Kansas State, not really a contender, but a tough game going on the road anytime when you go to Kansas State. TCU at Oklahoma State next weekend on Fox. Oklahoma, Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma. Baylor goes up to Stillwater, and then the big one, Baylor at TCU, Thanksgiving weekend. Bedlam, which will be one of the more highly anticipated Bedlam games at this rate a few seasons in Stillwater this year. Outside to Sims. Stopped by Jordan Thomas after 8.
You talked about the backloaded schedule, in particular for Oklahoma. Matchups versus Baylor, TCU, and Oklahoma State to finish this season. Those teams combined have a perfect record right now. That'll obviously change as we continue to push towards or closer to the college football playoff with the rankings coming out this Tuesday. And I'll be curious to see where exactly some of these 1-loss and 2-loss teams are positioned based on their conference.
Cox again, back-to-back touches for him. Got stacked up, right of the yard to gain. And they will spot him, looks like with just enough, just past the 35-yard line. You mentioned those 1-loss teams, Brady, that are kind of lurking back there. They get lost in the shuffle some because there's so many unbeaten still.
Yeah, and really, when you look at the Pac-12 and Stanford and Utah, you really need one of those 2 teams to win out if you want to get a team in the college football playoff.
Stanford a tough one tonight up in Pullman.
And the reason I say that is because if Stanford loses, for example, to a Notre Dame team who's only got 1 loss, you've got an 11-1 Notre Dame team versus maybe a potential Stanford Pac-12 champion with 2 losses. Notre Dame, because of the criteria, would end up going to the college football playoff ahead of Stanford, or at least have a leg ahead.
Right. Keon Kinner. And it'd be hard, too. Let's say that, you know, Utah winds up winning the South, beating a Stanford team that's lost to Notre Dame. It'd be hard to put Utah in ahead of Notre Dame. Utah got blown out by a USC team that Notre Dame beat.
Exactly, and obviously head-to-head play, and then obviously results versus common opponents becomes part of that criteria for the College Football Playoff Committee.
Darius Crawley got a head start there.
There is a flag on the play.
We talked some of the members of the selection committee earlier this week. Bill Hancock, the chair. They hammered home that the BCS was science.
Delay a game. Defense number 7, non-football act causing the offense to false start. That 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
So that's on Oklahoma. But anyways, BCS was science with the equations. This, the committee says, is art. Here's some of the criteria they're looking at when you're trying to split hairs and it's really close.
Yeah, and the problem I have is when you talk about art, look, a picture speaks 1,000 words. And that's the problem, is you've got a committee based up with people who are going to have different opinions on different teams. At least with a science, we had an exact way of calculating it.
There's a big collision. Frank Shannon with a form tackle, driving Keon Kinner to the ground. Second down.
Listen to the sound of this hit between Kinner and Shannon. Low man wins. Shannon's able to get underneath the pads, even though Kinner gets enough for the first down.
Booker, beautiful throw from Ryan Willis, picking on Dakota Austin. That's a first down at the 40.
You see the ability of Ryan Willis and why everyone's so excited about his ability moving forward, leading this Kansas Jayhawk team. Montel Cozart out with a shoulder injury, the starter coming into the season. They've even talked about him moving around a wide receiver because of his athleticism and the progress of Ryan Willis.
Picked up the pressure for a moment, but then Charles Tepper fought through, got his 3rd sack of the day, and forced a fumble recovered by Eric Stryker. What a day for Big 91.
Well, this is the performance they've been looking for all year long out of Charles Tepper. He's going to be coming off the bottom of your screen. He comes inside versus Brian Peters, who's had a bit of a rough day versus Tepper. There's Eric Stryker. He seems to be always around the quarterback in the football anytime there's a pass play. Eric Stryker, one of the premier pass rushers, not only in the Big 12, but really in college football.
Kind of plays a hybrid role on the outside. 21.5 career sacks for him. That's the most ever by an Oklahoma linebacker, if you want to define him as one. I got the fumble recovery there with 5:03 left in this 3rd quarter. Trevor Knight, his 2nd possession, has Alex Ross joining him in the backfield here. Knight feels the pressure and takes off. Big block delivered by Jeffrey Mead, but a flag comes out. Now, blindside blocks, players that receive them are considered defenseless. Chevy Graham was the one that drew the hit.
It looked like it was legal, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just in real time. It looked like Mead was able to get his shoulder pads underneath Chevy Graham as he was running towards the ball carrier. To get a second look at this. He may have gotten that shoulder up and around, above the shoulder area, up around the neck and head. Yeah, he does seem to make contact with the helmet, so that would warrant the flag.
The call here would be targeting. Again, a player that receives a blindside block is ruled by the rule book as defenseless, and if you're up above the shoulders, that's the call.
And here's the tough part. Jeffrey Mead, 6'5".
Right.
Chevy Graham, 5'9".
Yeah.
He's really got to bend and get low.
There is no foul for targeting. Second down.
Okay.
Well, on first look, that's what I thought. It looked like it was clean, but I wasn't sure if in the replay, if we saw his shoulder end up coming up into the neck and head injury. It looked, seems like he just clips Chevy Graham's right shoulder.
And it's where the contact is initiated. You might see some contact on the head, but if he slid up into the head, by definition, it's not targeting. Alex Ross, short gain, third down.
And a lot of times these officials, their first reaction when they see a big hit like that is to throw out the flag because they can review it. If they make the call, and they can always pick it back up like we just saw.
Seeing some of the depth for this Oklahoma team. Alex Ross is a tremendous playmaker that right now is their fourth running back. He'll swing out on third down. Ball was snagged out of the air by Jarvis Baxter as he baits the tackle. First down.
Baxter, a JUCO transfer from Trinity Valley Community College. As this game ensues, you're going to see the depth of this Oklahoma team, in particular at the running back position and really at wideout.
We saw Perine and Mixon for the first 2.5 quarters. Now you're seeing Alex Ross. Trevor Knight, the backup quarterback, is in. Lofting one for Andrews, who draws the flag. 6'5", 245, and they split him out and run him against Neal.
Derek Neal for Kansas has seen action, both the wide receiver and cornerback.
Pass interference, defense, number 7, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Andrews is going to run a double route, a little slant, and go. Neal not quite fooled. Gets in the way. I don't know. They're kind of both guys were tangled up.
Yeah. It's a big man, though, Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
6'5", 245, he's listed as.
5'10", going against 5'10", 170.
Advantage, Andrews. Knight stands in there and throws one that the official defended some. Incomplete, intended for Baxter.
And Joe Dineen coming in to force the hurried pass by Trevor Knight. That's what I'm trying to talk about. This Kansas team isn't giving up. There's still a ton of effort being displayed on the field. Coach Beatty said you would not know we were an 0-7 team if you came out and watched us practice with the energy and enthusiasm we have.
Second down, Knight to the outside on time, right into the hands of Andrews, who moves down to the 12. Mark Andrews having a solid day. 4 catches for him, moving over 40 yards.
Seems disappointed. He keeps wanting to find the end zone.
I know I am.
This is unfamiliar territory for him. This many catches without a touchdown.
5 touchdowns on 10 catches coming in. 4 catches, no scores here.
I imagine they'll go to him at some point if he's going to be matched up one-on-one with Derek Neal.
Mentioned that size advantage over him a moment ago. Instead, they'll use him as a blocker for Alex Ross, who gets 1. On second down and 9. Across his body, misses a wide open Andrews. Well, there was that touchdown we've been waiting for. Missed him badly.
Yeah, absolutely no one around Mark Andrews. As Derek Neal gets his feet tangled up. Trevor Knight could have underhanded that to him. He would have still been able to secure the catch.
Instead, third down and 9. Knight still looking for his first touchdown pass this season. He's pressured and sacked. Dorrance Armstrong, true freshman from Houston. Great future for this kid. Gets a sack here.
And Armstrong's going to have a ton of speed off the edge, working on big Orlando Brown. Just does not give up on the play.
Impressive speed. You said it.
That Houston area's got a ton of talent. David Beatty definitely knows how to recruit that area, particularly certain parts in Texas.
Went to North Shore High School. Hodgson on for this field goal, and he clanks it off the upright and through. Everything going right today for Oklahoma, and a 55-7 lead over Kansas. Oklahoma on its way to a 3rd consecutive win after that nightmarish loss against Texas a few weeks ago. Cruising their way to 7-1 in the season, and a big November ahead. can't unsee those. Those hot dogs?
It appears to be hot dogs,
With
Joe.
hats and teeth.
They look happy.
Yeah. Well, they're hot dogs with eyes and teeth. Ryan Shadler back to receive this kick. You got any Halloween plans?
None at the moment.
No. Inspired by those hot dogs? No. Me either. Down to the back of the end zone. Kansas will have it at the 25. Time now for Carl's Jr. and Hardy's game break. Again, here's Jenny Taft. We'll get with Jenny in just a moment. Meanwhile, 2:03 left in the third quarter of this one. More work for Ryan Willis here, true freshman. Some valuable minutes that he'll log down the stretch here. And his fourth career start continues to work on the little things. Taylor Cox for a short game. What have you thought of Ryan Willis so far today?
Look, early on, I mean, he was putting the ball spot on. His wide receivers didn't necessarily help him out. He hasn't had much of a running game. They've only got 39 yards on the ground, and obviously being down by this much, you're in a position where you kind of have to, or would like to throw the football a little bit more, but not a ton of help. But this kid's got a ton of ability. He's smart. He's a good decision maker, and you see improvement week after week after week.
He's got the size, 6'4", 210. He's got the arm. He's flashed that today. Play action. That pocket pushed back into him. Lindley tracked him down and forced the throwaway. Yeah, it's third down.
But even a play like that, throws the ball away, doesn't take a sack, allows them to be in 3rd and 9 as opposed to be sitting back in 3rd and 20. And those are the plays, and these are the reps that I think they may not pay off this year for Ryan Willis, but they will next year and the years to come when he's leading this Kansas Jayhawk team.
His offensive coordinator, Rob Likens, spent the last few years with Sonny Dykes at Cal, and so he was there when Jared Goff was a freshman and said he sees some similarities. They've got similar size, similar arm strength. On the slant, drills it in there, and it's hung on to a couple of times by Jeremiah Booker for a first down. Taylor Cox hit in the backfield and dropped by Dominique Alexander. Let's try again for Carl's Jr. and Hardy's game break. Jenny Taft again.
Joe, thanks. Number 12, Oklahoma State visiting Texas Tech. Oklahoma State has trailed the entire game until now. Raymond Taylor, 28-yard touchdown run. Fans in Lubbock are stunned. The Cowboys lead 42-38 in the third as they try to stay undefeated.
Well, Jenny, I'm sure you've heard this, but weird stuff happens in Lubbock. How about Lubbock Halloween? I mean, how many weirder spots?
Plenty of time left, too. It's just the end of the third quarter there. Mason Rudolph having quite the day, 22 for 36, 285 yards and 2 touchdown passes.
Big 12 standings here.
Yeah, I mean, as you look at the way it stacks up, obviously a top-heavy conference. But we look at Texas Tech, you look at Texas continuing to improve. Gerard Hurd and Tyrone Swoops, that 18-wheeler package they run. It's such a mix-up to most of the spread offenses you see in the Big 12.
And you'll see the Longhorns against Iowa State when we finish up right here on FS1. Willis, great field in the pocket to step away and has Barbell wide open. First down at the 40.
I really love to see that. The ability to escape the pocket. The Bishop Miege project out of Overland Park continues to progress and develop, and it's just fun that we're able to sit here and watch.
Longest play of the day for Kansas, 24 yards from the 40. Cox running hard inside the 35. The redshirt senior that's dealt with injuries throughout his entire career brings this third quarter to a close. More Oklahoma. Got a giant lead, 55-7. As we get ready to march to the 4th on Halloween in Lawrence. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico, and our aerial coverage today is brought to you by DirecTV, now part of the AT&T family. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Joe, you're probably not an 80s rock guy, but Europe is playing here in the stadium, the final countdown, while our producer, Eric Bilgmeyer, was counting you down.
Wow.
Look at the connection there. It's so timely.
Awesome. Score by quarter. It's all Oklahoma today. 55-7 as we go to the fourth.
The key to me is 38-7 at half. You go back to the last couple of weeks versus Texas Tech and Kansas State. Oklahoma has continued to build strong leads, 28-7 and 35-0 versus K-State. That's been really the blueprint to their success the past few weeks, in particular on offense.
Nice throw from Willis to convert. Dakota Austin in coverage on Tyler Patrick, who's had the best game of his short career. You know, these fast starts have happened since the disappointing loss in the Red River rivalry game against Texas. 24-17 in a game that Texas really handled the entire way. And it'll be interesting to see down the stretch here if Oklahoma is going to look back at that one and really wish that it had it back.
Yeah. As Oklahoma's defense continues to dominate with Dominic Alexander. It's interesting, a lot of the starters are still out on the field for Oklahoma. And we talked earlier in the game just about style points mattering. Clearly, Oklahoma doesn't want Kansas to get back on the scoreboard or develop some of their youth.
Patrick again right at Austin. Close to a first down. Third down and about 2 against Bob Stoops' defense.
Bob Stoops talked about that a bit with the college football playoff ranking coming out next week. Understanding that you've got to basically beat teams the way you're supposed to. Kind of the way he put it. So you see his road record, which has been phenomenal since 2012.
Taylor Cox short of the first down. You came here last year when TCU came to Kansas and struggled. Still won the game, but you wonder if the lack of style points in a game like that hurt them when it came time to pick the 4 teams.
I think so, and I think when we talk about it's an art of how these committee members view these teams. They're watching film, they're trying to get all the information they can, but in the end, when they see that a team is supposed to beat a certain team by however much, and they don't, that's not meeting expectations. So it maybe makes it look like that team's not as good as people think.
It's failing the eye test.
Exactly.
4th down and 2, and Kansas nothing to lose going for it. Take a timeout and think about this call. We'll take the timeout with him. 13-10 left in this one. Kansas looking at a 4th down and short. Down 55-7 early on in the 4th quarter. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Chris Button back in Lawrence, Kansas. This will be the 12th play of this Kansas drive. And on 4th down and a yard, Ryan Willis will work out of the shotgun with Taylor Cox behind him. He's done some good things today, has this true freshman from Overland Park, Kansas. Call it 4th and 2. Cox powering forward. Not sure that he got it. Stryker and Alexander sandwiched him inside the 20. And looks like he is short. And he is. So Oklahoma takes over on downs with 13:05 left in this one. Take another break. Be back in just a moment. Early on 4th quarter, we go down to Chris Button.
Joe, players have different routines between quarters, and Mark Andrews for OU has a pretty interesting routine. In between each quarter, he has to check his blood sugar level. That's because as a child, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, so his parents and the trainers have developed a plan. He also checks it several times during practices. If he doesn't and he lets the levels get too low, he can be very serious. In fact, before the season, his roommate found him unresponsive in his room. He had to go to the hospital. So with the help of his friends and his teammates, he just knows that this is something that he has to continue to monitor.
It was the long snapper, Chris Wesley Horkey, who is his roommate, who found him and really helped save his life. Alex Ross, look out, he can fly. And Ross is run down inside the 30. 53 yards for Alex Ross and an Oklahoma first down.
And we're starting to see the run game wear down the defense for Kansas. Alex Ross with that burst out of the backfield. All he needs is a window, and he can accelerate through and make big plays downfield.
627 yards now with the help of 9 big plays, which was one of the things that Clint Bowen, David Beatty talked about having to avoid. Ross again cut down this time after a short gain. Stop made by Michael Glatzik. 7th game in a row that this Kansas defense has given up more than 500 yards. It's the most by any FBS team in the last 2 decades, at least the longest streak.
And we talked about the youth really on both sides of the football today for Kansas, but it's also a change in scheme. Defensive coordinator Clinton Bowen's gone from what used to be more of a 3-down scheme at times to a 4-down front with 4 defensive linemen. And they've got to be able to recruit the type of players that they need to install into this system in order to fit and be able to execute at a higher level.
Ross sticks his nose down and hit by Tevin Shaw. 3rd down for Oklahoma inside of 12 minutes left, up 55-7. On their way to a 7th win this season and a 3rd consecutive win after the Texas loss. Bouncing back from that disappointing 8-5 season last year where they were number 4 in the country for the first month. Started 4-0, but went 4-5 to finish, and including that 40-6 blowout loss to Clemson in the Citrus Bowl. 3rd down and 6, Knight to throw. There's Andrews, who Chris just told you about. There's a flag down in the backfield.
It might be a hold on number 10, Ben Goodman. The seniors out of Beaumont, Texas. Very talented area for prospects.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 46 of the defense. 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
Instead, they get Dorrance Armstrong.
Half the distance to the goal.
Not even close. Yeah, Goodman was in the area, but it's 46 Dorrance Armstrong. A true freshman. Uses that fast inside move, and clearly after the ball had released from Trevor Knight's hand.
So he comes out, first down and officially 10. The ball spotted just outside the 10-yard line. Ross, ball's knocked out and recovered by Kansas. Kyron Watson with the recovery after Tyrone Miller jarred it out of there. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. And Miller, the true freshman out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, forcing the fumble. Back after this. That's what happens when you wear old-fashioned neck roll like that for Kyron Watson. Fumble recovery. Kansas takes it.
Yeah, really credit number 19, Tyrone Miller, being able to come up with the, well, I guess knock the football out, but defensive coordinators you can see there in the white overcoat and jacket talked about his hesitation of putting Miller in one-on-one coverage. being that he's just a true freshman, but clearly he's had the ability to make tackles and in space. This is I think his 49th tackle in the season. And that's exactly how they teach it too. Try to put your helmet on the football. That'll surely be able to jar the ball loose. And look how productive they've been in getting takeaways in the red zone. And in today's game, with these prolific offenses and the fast-paced spreads, that's really the key, is being able to get stops in the red zone, forcing them to kick field goals, and really being able to get turnovers.
Before they snap it to begin this drive, it's check in with Jenny Taft for a game break.
We're just telling you. Well, Joe, we were just telling you about Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. Since we last chatted, 2 more touchdowns. J.W. Walsh takes it 64 yards. Oh, so close. Didn't quite get the touchdown there, but he would punch it in on the next play. The Cowboys lead 49-45.
Patrick Mahomes, 27 for 39, 369 yards, and 4 TDs and a rushing touchdown with Jenny Taft. Just mentioned. Big day.
J.W. Walsh, though, with a long run and the touchdown, and Oklahoma State up.
That's an interesting offensive style Oklahoma State has. I mean, truly playing 2 quarterbacks. They put in J.W. Walsh when they get in plus territory where they really want to run the football at the quarterback position. Kind of interesting. You wonder when Montzel Kozar gets healthy, if he comes back, if Kansas does some of that.
Keon Kinner wrestled down from behind by Charles Walker. 18 of 31 for $161 and a touchdown for Ryan Willis. And if the drops are out of the equation, you're looking at like a 22 or 23 of 31 day. Pressure out of the secondary helps it get home. P.L. Lindley combining with Khalil Houghton, one of the true freshmen, getting time in the Oklahoma secondary. 4th down.
Yeah, number 8's going to be coming off the edge. Ryan Willis does not ever see this with his eyes to the right side of the field. And Houghton sees the sack there for the taking. He's one of these talented true freshmen that the Oklahoma has in their secondary. Bob Stoops called it the most talented recruits he's ever had coming to play for Oklahoma in this secondary. When talking about Khalil Houghton, Will Sunderland, even PJ Mbanasor. He struggled a little bit this year, but he's coming along in practice.
Jarvis Baxter back to return this one. Makes the first man miss and crosses midfield. That's where Oklahoma will begin with this big lead. And the defense getting it done again. More than 20 sacks in this month of October. Oklahoma all over Kansas. Bob Stoops got to be happy with the way his team's playing, and the defense this season the best in the Big 12 by many measures in Big 12 games. After a bit of an inconsistent September, they've really gotten it going the last month.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of really finding the right fit. One of the subtle changes they've made in the past couple weeks is moving Stephen Parker, who was the nickelback, back to free safety and putting William Johnson into that nickelback position.
Ross for 8 on first down. You know, last year we talked about them not having a passing game at all, so the offense wasn't great outside of Samaje Perine. The defense wasn't very good last year either. They were 113th defending the pass.
And sometimes your best defense is a good offense, and I think what Oklahoma's doing right now is playing great complementary football, meaning both sides of the ball are really playing to one another. When they get turnovers, Oklahoma seems to be scoring points off of those turnovers, and then controlling more of the time of possession, which gives their defense some rest.
Yeah, impressive how well-rounded the Sooners team is right now. Lurking there with 1 loss. 2nd down and 2. Ross again for first down. Boomer Sooners still echoing through Memorial Stadium, even though they got the band pinned down in the very corner of the stadium. I don't think they can even see the field from where they have the band. There they are.
Yeah, they all huddled together.
Six yards for Alex Ross. Second down and 4 inside of 7.5 left in this one.
I'll tell you what, that offensive line for Oklahoma right now, they've got some of their backups in, but watch the center. Number 58, Eric Wren. Number 63, Alex Dalton. They're running to that right side, and those guys are getting a ton of movement. And this is still the Kansas first team defense. And these are all the backups primarily for Oklahoma.
Trying to break the 60-point mark for the second week in a row. They had 63 against Texas Tech last week. And Grant Bothan, who is mostly known as the holder for this Oklahoma team, has the reception and a pickup of 15 yards.
See the zip on that football from Trevor Knight? That thing got there in a hurry. That ball was on a line. This Oklahoma team just has a ton of depth, and got to credit the job that Bob Stoops has done recruiting. Stacking up top recruiting class one after another after another.
Well, let Knight throw it again. End zone. Incomplete. That was intended for Dahu Green. Still looking for his first career reception.
The Oklahoma City, Oklahoma product. He's got a ton of size too at 6'4", 203. Freshman still trying to get his feet wet, still adjusting to somewhat of the college game. Trevor Knight put the ball in a good spot, but Dahu Green didn't quite adjust to it. On the field, he looked a lot taller than 6'4".
Yeah, big guy. Second down. Jayhawks bringing it. Ross for 2. You know, last year we mentioned this a couple times, but Sterling Shepard goes down, and so did Oklahoma's passing game. They didn't have anything through the air. You talk about replenishing. Obviously, you get Shepard back, but they've added Westbrook, Baxter, both JUCO transfers, and then these young guys starting to emerge. Meade and Miller. And you saw Dahu Green, who's yet to get a catch, but clearly has a body that's going to translate to the college game.
Yeah, Deron Neal in there as well. You look at the way this team has really responded, and responded to offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley. They could have not bought into his system at Oklahoma, but they opened themselves up to allowing this offense to take shape.
That ball is caught. Touchdown. And that is Trevor Knight to his brother Connor Knight for the score. What a moment.
Not too many people will remember the touchdown that made it 61-7. But Connor Knight's isolated on safety Fish Smithson, he's had a long day. And it's not any discredit to him. He's been put in a position where he's had to cover Sterling Shepard. And now Connor Knight, who's got an extreme size advantage over him at the tight end position.
And that is Knight's, I believe, here, I'm rolling through all the numbers here. I believe that is Connor Knight's first career catch.
Probably true for the redshirt junior. I know it's his first one of the season. And I'm sure they've done this in the backyard 1,000 times. Trevor Knight, obviously not the starter, coming in as the backup in this role. He probably has the most confidence in that man right there in Connor Knight from all the years growing up playing football together. Throwing this pass time and time again for a touchdown in your backyard. Well, guess what? Now you're doing it in a live game.
So cool. Well, we saw Grant Bothan, who is mostly the holder, have a reception on this drive. Connor Knight is mostly the short snapper for field goals and extra points. Two guys normally just on special teams get involved in this drive in a moment those two will never forget. Now, for those of you tuning in for the Texas-Iowa State game, we'll get you out to Ames at the immediate conclusion of our game. But in the meantime, you can find that on FS2 and streaming live on FS Go.
Texas is a team that's really kind of turned it on the past couple weeks. Seems like they've figured out their way of playing complementary football, basically running the football. Gerard Hurd and Tyrone Swoops and that 18-wheeler package they bring in for the backup quarterback Swoops.
Starting to believe a little bit down there in Austin. He taken. Texas, while on the rise, is not part of our Fox 4. Now we'll see our first rankings next week. Here's the Fox 4 right now.
Well, Ohio State we have at #1 right now, but that could possibly change with JT Barrett being suspended for at least one game. Baylor at #3. And they've had an injury to their quarterback position, Seth Russell, the Heisman hopeful. He's out for the rest of the season. Enter Jarrett Stidham and Leonard Fournette. He's been outstanding, but he's going to have a matchup versus Alabama later on this season, and that'll most likely decide who's going to go to the SEC championship game between them and Alabama.
Do you think if Oklahoma wins out, they're in? Or is there too much other stuff that has to happen for you to say that right now?
I think there's a good chance that if Oklahoma wins out and they're a Big 12 champion, they're in part because the Big 12 got left out last year, but also when you look at the teams they'll beat down the stretch, talking about Oklahoma State, TCU, Baylor as well, and then obviously they went into Knoxville and got a tough win from Tennessee, who's no slouch either in the SEC, so it wasn't as if their non-conference schedule was that easy.
Yeah, Tennessee had Alabama beat last weekend.
It was a tight game.
Right.
Now it took Oklahoma overtime, but you've got to think, though, with these 3 wins towards the tail end of the season, that would be enough to get them in as a conference champion.
You know, one of the things that we were talking about, the criteria, if you get to the point where you're splitting hairs, say it was between a 1-loss Oklahoma and a 1-loss Alabama team, they look at common opponents. Alabama barely got by Tennessee. Oklahoma barely got by Tennessee, but Oklahoma did it in Knoxville. Alabama almost lost to Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. If it gets down to the point where you're splitting hairs that finely, Oklahoma's got that advantage. And you're looking at their chances of breaking into the college football playoff.
Unfortunately, there tends to be somewhat of an East Coast bias. I'll just go out there and say it. I think we see that from time to time with the SEC. They get maybe a little bit more credit than they deserve for their conference. People talk about the vaunted SEC West. Really, you look at last season, the Pac-12 South was the toughest division in all of college football, especially the way they played in the bowl games.
Willis puts it on the money with a flag down. Marcus Green going to get called, it appears. As that one's hauled in by Bobby Hartzog Jr.
And Marcus Green was all over Hartzog the entirety of that route.
Holding defense number 14, 10 yards from the previous spot, first down.
You mentioned the Pac-12 a moment ago. You tend to think right now that if there is a major conference champion that's going to get left out, it very well could be them.
If it's not Utah or Stanford as a 1-loss Pac-12 champion, if those 2 teams can, one of them find a way of winning out and winning the championship, I think they'll go. But a 2-loss Pac-12 champion, I don't think so.
Oklahoma, that 1 loss, sitting behind the 3 undefeated Big 12 teams at this point. One of them obviously Baylor. And it seemed like recently the door kind of cracking open for Oklahoma. Part of the reason I say that is because Seth Russell is finished and Jarrett Stidham, a true freshman, has to come in and play quarterback. He's a heck of a player, one of the top recruits in the country, but this is a different game he's stepping into.
Yeah, had a tremendous career at Stephenville High School in Texas, but yeah, it's a different level. It's a different speed of play. And as Ryan Willis goes down with a sack, but we'll see how he handles this jumping in the midst of a season. We saw this a season ago with Ohio State. They were ranked 16th in the first college football playoff ranking. They had an injury to JT Barrett, entered Cardell Jones at the end of the season, and he played outstanding down the stretch. And maybe Jarrett Stidham will be able to provide that same sort of performance. And I think it will answer that question as well. Is Baylor truly a plug-and-play system with their quarterbacks? If Jarrett Stidham goes in and lights up the world like Bryce Petty has, like Seth Russell has, RG3 before that, I think you could maybe make that case.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at who they're going to have to go through if they are going to finish the season undefeated, with Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, tipped into the air and incomplete. And down the sideline for Darius Crawley, 4th down and 11.
You talked about the end of the schedule and those tough opponents, but again, there's a lot of football left to be played. And we could get into all sorts of crazy scenarios where even in the Big 12, these teams start beating up each other. You know, all of a sudden you end the season and you know, Baylor's got 1 loss, TCU's got 1 loss, Oklahoma State. I mean, these teams could end up beating each other up when they have to figure out how to work it out through a tie-breaking scenario.
Definitely what we've seen in the Pac-12 so far, cannibalizing. Oh man, that is an incredible punt. Well done by Matthew Wyman, who pins him down inside the 1. Special teams have been such a problem this year for Kansas, but they've done some good things in that phase today. Dr. Pepper, one-of-a-kind plays of the game today come courtesy of Oklahoma's quarterback Baker Mayfield. Went 27 of 32, 384 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was impressive start to finish, at least the finish of his day late in the 3rd quarter.
Defensive coordinator Clint Bowen said, we don't want Samaje Perine to beat us. We want to put it on the arm of Baker Mayfield, and he answered that call throw after throw, in particular with Sterling Shepard, who had one heck of a day, making plays for his quarterback all day long.
Those are the one-of-a-kind Dr. Pepper plays of the game. He's back there somewhere. There he is. You think that they keep doing what they're doing as Cody Thomas checks in at quarterback. He'll be there in New York in December as a Heisman finalist.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at him statistically speaking, his numbers and his production will match anyone else in the country. 25 touchdown passes on the season. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns to add to that as well, with only 4 interceptions. So he's been incredible so far this year for a guy who's had to adapt to a new system with offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley. And obviously, you know, getting back some personnel, some of these younger guys we've seen come in. We talked about JUCO transfer D.D. Westbrook. He's new to Oklahoma. Jarvis Baxter as well. So he's done a tremendous job of really implementing all these guys into the offense. We just saw a stat. 8 different wide receivers have caught the football.
Ross has a 1st down after Cody Thomas handed it to him. 3rd Oklahoma quarterback we've seen today. Thomas finished last year as the starter after Knight went down with the injury. A tough finish to the season after they started 4-0 and 4-5 down the stretch. Ross has had a heavy load with this game well in hand down the stretch, close to 100 yards, 13 carries for 96 yards now. What do you thought overall of Oklahoma today and moving forward?
I mean, they've been dominant. They did exactly what they needed to do coming into this game. I think the College Football Playoff Committee is going to look on them very highly. And then on the flip side for Kansas, obviously not the result they wanted, but this is a young team. Changing to a different scheme, a new head coach trying to bring in a different culture. And if you look at their schedule coming up, got to go at Texas, at TCU. That will not be an easy stretch. But then you have West Virginia to finish the season versus Kansas State. So easier opponents. Not quite the competition we've seen them have to face the past few weeks.
Ross goes over 100 yards for the day. One of the least experienced teams, as you said. 37 first-year players. That has included 30 first-time starters. We'll try and find a win in that remaining schedule. Won't come today, though. 62-7. Oklahoma takes care of business. 11th consecutive win against Kansas going back to 97. Texas and Iowa State from Ames on the other side of this break.